Start again. Well, that camera's just about full. 2 seconds. Because I think that would just finish it, really. All right, still no sound. Haha, there we go. Right, I've got somebody trying to call, but I haven't connected yet to the thingy bob, so bear with. The reason I do this is because if I do it before, it doesn't fucking work, does it? So we're a bit pissed off, really, to be honest. Checking for audio devices, but that's lovely. See if you find anything. There we go. Come down here. Bluing Tooth. Rodecaster 2. Turn the Rodecaster 1 off. And if we get anything, I'll be amazed. All right. Okay. Let's try. Bear with. I'm not expecting anything. Oh, Jesus Christ. It worked. Sorry, Jesus. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello, mate. How are you?
Shit. I'm good, but I'm just fucking frustrated with fucking tech, son. It's...
Sorry, mate.
I said I'm just fucking pissed off with tech, right? Yesterday, Dafter, bless him, comes all the way down from up north, no sleep, puts a live stream on.
I watched it. I watched while it lasted. I did watch it, mate.
Dafter's doing fine, right? I don't think he's got any different kit to me. No problem. 1400. I think it went up to 2000 some odd, right? Now, bearing in mind, Dafter's got, I don't know how many subs he's got. It's under 1,000 anyway, right? Us lot, we're struggling to even get a fucking signal out, right? And if we do, nobody's been notified. So you do feel you've made it all the way there and nobody's going to fucking see it. And it kept cutting out and it kept cutting out and it kept cutting out. This is the problem we had before. Now, I know there were a lot of people up there uploading. I get that. But they turned down the... They turned down the transmitters.
Like you're being banned because you ain't got enough subs, mate, or because you're you.
Yeah, I'm getting banned because I'm getting shadow banned. I put a complaint in. I said, fuck you know. What else have I got to lose? Nobody's getting to see. Everybody's getting unsubscribed. And I was there and I was shaking hands with people. They said, we haven't seen any of your stuff for ages, mate. You must be proper in the gulag. I was like, well, that's fucking great, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, cost me 140 some odd quid before I got a couple of beers yesterday. And it was only a couple of beers. And, oh, by the way, what network? I'm on 3 because somebody was asking in the comments. But there are some, don't struggle at all. And me, as soon as we get up there and a few other YouTubers like me, we get our signals fucked with. There's all sorts of shit go with the phone. I was told by Danny Roscoe, who I think he does London a bit more. There's people that got there now who work for the services. They got rucksacks, right? And they'll put them in in 4 corners, and these rucksacks jam everything in between. So that might make sense.
I don't know if it's that because they are Tuesday, mate. His stream, he had 16,000 people. This stream, he was literally up the road from you, mate. Yeah. Fucking weird.
Well, there they go.
So I think it's probably more because of who you are, mate.
Well, Maya Tuesday's safe, isn't he? And Maya Tuesday's, he wants to go mainstream.
All right, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a nice guy, but he's safe. He's not going to go out or say anything that's extreme.
No, he's not going to be like you and go to, no, I totally agree, mate. I mean, I think him with Tommy Robinson yesterday is the most extreme thing I've ever seen him do, mate.
Yeah. It just is what it is. But I mean, I just find it frustrating, mate.
You know that David Cruz is?
Say again?
Unity News Network. Do you ever watch that?
Unity News? No, I don't. No, there's anything wrong with it. I just didn't know about him.
I mean, there were people on there saying Tommy Robinson is like a shill for the government, mate.
People have
like
their opinions.
Sort of thing.
People have their opinions about him. They also...
Yeah, well, I don't know. I quite like him because he has exposed, how shit Islam is.
I'm just going to say from the beginning, if it wasn't for him, right, because...
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this because I wouldn't know about it, right? Now, the BNP were doing what Tommy was doing years before, but they got what you would call denoticed, shadow banned, and they just could not get anywhere because they were basically strangled.
Now, apparently, allegedly, what is right wing? I don't even know what right wing is anymore, mate.
Right wing is what common sense is. If you've got a brain in your head, if you've got common sense, you're right wing.
Yeah, but everybody now who's right wing is either a fascist, a bigot, a Nazi, a racist, Islamophobe.
Exactly. Incidentally, if you are looking at this, try and help the algorithm. Can you like it? Can you share it? Do what you can.
I've already liked it, mate.
No, I'm telling them as well, mate.
All the time, mate.
I'm going to try and set up
I share your videos all the time, and I like them, mate. Don't you ever worry about that, buddy.
Mate, I tell you what.
If I actually work, if I had money, mate, I'd be fucking sending you money, bud. If I actually had money, I'd be sending you money, mate.
The thing is, mate, the people that follow me are in the same shit situation as I am.
Yeah, we're all the same fucking boat, aren't we? And
yeah.
It's a boat heading to Shitspill, mate, because nobody in this country who's actually in charge gives a shit about us anymore, mate. We are, you know, in the world, mate, you know, they talk about minorities, right? About how they got to protect minorities. In the world, about 9% of the world's population are white people. About 9%, and the rest are all whatever they are, mate. Whether they be Asian, African.
Yeah, we're in the minority.
Whatever they are, mate. We are well in the minority, but because we're quite intelligent, we've used our brains. We're not quite as intelligent as Asians, but apparently they're so intelligent, mate, they've been able to keep their heads down.
Right,
we've got to build things and commerce and trade and advance the world.
Yeah.
So now we get accused of being racist, and
I put a video on TikTok about it. And I got
none of my family ever owned a single slave, mate.
No, but I put a video out on TikTok about this,
and my family are Irish, so we're made slaves.
Fucking worse slaves. And even when you came over here and they put them up they just gave them the shit jobs and paid them basic, and that was it. They lived in crap accommodation. All they had, right?
I hear about white people always going, "Oh, we need reparations. We feel we're so fucking subjugated.
Well, if you go back far enough, the serfs of any sort of the serfs were sold with the land. So basically, if a landlord decided that he was selling the property, the serfs came with it. Well, if they're not slaves, what are they?
People, absolutely right, mate. Yeah, but apparently none of that shit matters, mate. Because black people, Black Lives Matter, mate.
Well, I put this video up and I got tipped off. Like, well, I got it was what was it called? That fucking TikTok shit. Now, I didn't think it'd be very long before I got a slap, but I put this video up and it's why you don't have to apologize for slavery. And it says that every country that we went into, we made better. When we ruled it, they had a better quality of life. When we left, their quality of life went down and the country went downhill. Everybody was doing slaves before us.
True. You look at Africa, mate. They fucking love living in mud huts, mate.
Everybody was worse off before us.
They love it, mate. They run around chasing tigers and shit, mate.
Well, you look at corruption.
The city, they move in, they start carjacking people, mate.
That's why people have flamethrowers up the side of their cars in the 90s.
Which is mad.
Yeah.
Fancy having a flamethrower up the side of your car, mate, because people will probably try and come and kill you.
Well, then can you imagine if you thought that was mad? Why would you import them here?
Yeah, but we are importing them out.
Yeah, no, but why would you? If you were anybody normal, right?
Our government, mate, has signed up to the agenda, mate, and they think they're all going to be safe.
Right. We've got the Marrakesh.
As far as I'm concerned.
We got the Barcelona. We got the Marrakesh. That's what we signed up to, and that's what lets Islam straight through. We have to. That's what we've agreed. And we were going to get cheap oil if we agree to this.
I don't need cheap oil.
I'd rather walk around than have that. My job might be a bit fucking hard.
I really hate where it's all going, mate.
And it's going fast.
I'm not into all these. They use the word phobia at the end of things like homophobia. I don't give a shit about the guys, mate. I'm not scared of one of them, mate. I'd beat the crap out of them. But Islam, that is a little bit terrifying, mate.
Well,
the way they don't come to the country to integrate. They come to the country to take over. And if they've been in the country before that they think they've owned a little bit of, that's theirs, mate. That is theirs forever.
See, the thing is, right? Oh, by the way, we've got to watch what we say on here about certain things, all right?
I'm going to try and be careful,
but our biggest threat,
is, mate,
it's
a threat to all of us.
Cheers, Sid. Our biggest threat is are the people that rule us, because they're the ones that hate us. They're the ones that are serving somebody else.
They're signed up to the agenda, mate. They believe in the 2030 shit, mate. They believe that there probably should only be 500 million people on the planet.
Do you remember Prince Philip saying he'd like to come back as a bacteria that will wipe out half the planet?
As a deadly virus, mate, to take out half the world, or take out most of the world's population. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Yeah.
What a happy little go-lucky cunt that is.
He wants to cut down trees. He wants to cut down trees, bury them in the ground.
Cut down the humans.
The environment.
Yeah.
He wants to bury out the sun. He wants to block out the sun to save the environment, mate. He wants to make us all eat bugs to save the environment.
It ain't about saving the environment.
Bugs, my man.
These devil-worshipping cunts just want to watch us suffer. That's the be-all and the end-all of it, right?
Luciferian evil bastards.
They
mate.
fucking hate us.
Agree with that.
Now, there's a lot of people saying that Tommy supports or is paid for by somebody else. Now, let's just put it into perspective.
Yeah, there are people that say
Right.
that. I don't know that I believe that, mate.
I think he is.
There's just
No,
literally.
literally.
That I've heard.
I know it's a Middle East forum. And I know that both him, Katie Hopkins, and also Richard Inman are sworn Zionists.
Being attacked by taillights, mate.
Well, no, here's the thing. You have to make them look, right? Who got them back on not Telegram, Twitter? Why did they get them on Twitter just before this? Yeah. Why is it that he's had so many trips to fucking Israel? Why is it when he set up the EDL, it was the English Defence League, and then with Brian of London, who's also Jewish, who's moved back to Israel now, it then became the Jewish and English Defence League. Why?
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Now, here's the thing. Even if he is funded by something to do with Israel, do not take away from him what he actually brings to our attention. And it may be that the people that fund him don't like the people who he's bringing attention to, right? That might be the case.
Like the council.
But if he's talking and informing us about, say, for instance, things to do with Islam, what the book says, what their directions are, what their intentions are,
he has,
then he's doing a job. He might have an opinion, right? But look, Douglas Murray, pro-Israel, anti-fucking Islam. Yeah, he's made his entire life of it. But
and I totally agree with him as well, mate. I wouldn't have those leaders in this country, mate, living in council houses.
But you got to admit, he is right. Right, what he's saying about Islam isn't wrong. So, if he's not saying stuff that's wrong about Islam, even if he does have people who want him to cover that and not cover other things, if he's bringing that to people's attention, he's serving a job. And this is what I was thinking, right? We're all fucking arguing about who's funded by who's funded by this, who's funded by the other, and all everybody's
funded by someone.
Each group who's strong want to take the money that the other one's getting, and they want the attention of what the other one's getting, so they will slate the other one. All right.
Yeah.
The theory is that he was trying to lead us all out to go to war with Islam, right? To make Islam look bad, to make Israel look innocent, right? In this, and to build and bolster support for Israel. Now, I'm no great fan of Israel, but if they did not have all that security around them, if they didn't have all that security around them, right? Islam would move in and kill all of them. End of.
Oh, it would, a murder. Yeah.
Now, don't forget.
If I had to make a choice, mate, that would be Israel would be my choice. If I had to choose between, human killing terrorists or Israel, it'd probably be Israel.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question, right? Do you think the government represent the people of this country?
No.
Right.
I don't think they care about the people of this country.
So, do you think Zionism represents Jews?
I don't really. No, I'd say Zionism. This is something I don't really understand, mate.
Right. Okay. I'll briefly explain it to you.
I don't really. I know it's meant to be like Jews that don't really like Jews.
You're not far off, mate. If anybody wants to help out, there it is. I shall go back to the.
I wouldn't mind because I don't. I don't want to comment. Because I don't really understand.
Real Jews fall out with Zionists because real Jews know that they're not allowed to have a homeland. They're not allowed to. They have to wait until their savior, whatever he is, comes back, and then they'll inherit the earth, right?
The resurrection.
So they've got to believe that they have to wander. It's written in their book that they have to wander the earth without a homeland, right? Which is why they were all over Europe and everything else. Now, there's different types of Jewish people, right? There's Ashkenazis, there's traditionals, there's all the other variations, right? Now, I don't know if you've seen the footage of the traditional, I don't know what they call them, the ones with the hats and the funny hairdos around it, right?
Hasidic.
They're getting kicked to fuck by the Zionist police force over there. What is that about?
By other Jews?
Yeah. This is it. See, everybody thinks it's all the Jews. It ain't all the Jews, right? There's a lot of really good fucking Jews out there, right? And there
are.
Right. Now, Zionism, you can be a part of Zionism without being a Jew. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I thought you had to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
Nope.
Yeah, so Donald Trump apparently is a Zionist then because he loves helping Jews.
Yeah, well, he's also got members of the family are Jewish, right? Now.
Oh, that Jared Kushner.
But you can be of any other denomination and be a Zionist, but you can't be.
Really? What? So you could be a Muslim, not
practicing Muslim. You could be a Muslim businessman and be a Zionist because it serves your purpose.
Mad.
Mad as fuck, right? which is why you hear so many people saying, I'm a fucking proud Zionist. Now, what are you proud of? Are you proud of the fact that you've given Jews a homeland? Fair enough, right? I don't believe that anybody shouldn't have a homeland, but why is it that they're now kicking all the other colors out of their country and they're saying they have to go to Europe? We're not allowed a homeland just for indigenous people, which is what they're having, but they are. It's double standards.
The Jews kicking people out, yeah.
Well, it's not the traditional,
but
it's not the traditional Jews that are doing this, right?
So that's the Zionists.
Zionism.
Yeah, who do that.
Yep. The ones that are in the government, right?
They're the ones that want to fuck our country up.
And everywhere else.
Oh, right. Well, I really quite dislike Zionists.
Okay, but listen, you have to make the difference.
If they want to send all that shit over there, mate.
Right, listen, you have to make the difference. It's the political system that you don't like, not Jewish people, right?
No, I quite like Jewish people, mate.
There you go. But we have to make this distinction.
In the Middle East, mate, that probably is Israel, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to make this distinction on here. That if anybody come on here and said, I hate Jews because I just hate them, then they're anti-Semitic and I haven't got any fucking time for them, right?
And they're disingenuous, mate. You've never said... I've been listening to you. I've called you a few times, Simon. And honestly, I've talked to you. I've listened to you. I've never heard you be... Well, I've never really heard you ever be racist, mate.
Well, I got called...
Even though people might say that you're racist.
I can't let them, but I got called anti-Semitic.
Englishman.
Do you know why I got called anti-Semitic by...
did you actually get called anti-Semitic?
By our side.
I didn't know. So go on.
By our side. It was a person that was close to Tommy, right? And and basically...
When was that then?
Well, it went back about 3 years ago when I opened up that Telegram group. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, I was quite close with the Tommy group now. And what happened was, look, there's Coptic Jews. I didn't know about them.
No, yeah.
But
I didn't even mention it. I knew about Civic.
Right, sorry. Somebody just said, I hate him. There we go. Let's just ban him because you're a dick. You're just doing it for...
dickhead.
Yeah,
can't see. I'm watching all the different phones.
I mean, if you're coming on here to try and troll and say, I hate the Jews, right? That's you can crack on and then you're banned and you never come on here again.
Mate. You go and hate somewhere else, mate. Don't hate anybody.
No, right? So basically, back in the day, I opened up this Telegram group and it was about freedom of speech and people were coming out with all sorts of shit, right? And basically, there were some there that just fucking hated Jews. They did. And I was like, oh, shit. But I thought best thing you could do is let people see who they are and what they are, right?
Yeah.
And then
shame them.
People know who they're dealing with then. Anyway, these people were also calling out Tommy and saying that he's this and he's that, right? Now, I was told by Team Tommy that I had to shut my Facebook, my YouTube, my whole lot. I was like, no, you don't own me.
For what?
So do you think you fucking are?
Because of that Telegram thing, you had to shut everything down.
No, they want me to get rid of everything. Now, because I wouldn't do this, and also because I said I questioned the figures of the Holocaust. Do you know why? Because they have been reworked 3 times recently.
That many people. I mean,
no, it's not that. No, listen, it was a lot more simple.
Whether the Holocaust happened or not, I'm not denying.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I just know that they reckon that it isn't possible to kill that many people in that amount of time.
Right. What they were saying is in that one particular building.
Technology they had. Is this not what we're talking about? Have I just fucked things up?
Well, no. Opinions are opinions. Personally, my granddad, when he came from, because he was out in Palestine, when he finished up, because he was on the horses, and they decided they were a bit antiquated. So it was either he could go with the tanks or signals. So he went to the signals and basically worked his way all the way back to Germany, and he went into one of those camps. So not went in, but he opened up with the rest of the army, right?
Yeah.
So
when they first.
They're real things. There were a lot of Labour camps as well. But actually, if you want to have a look how many Labour camps there were all over Europe and Germany, far more than you would ever, you can imagine, right? If you want to watch JFK to 9/11, he'll show you a map and literally fucking parts of Germany just go black. There were that many Labour camps. But that idea came from the Americans. But we've been through this before. So basically, I've said that I will, it's not that I don't believe, but I said I'm always willing to look into stuff and make my own fucking mind up.
You want.
Reason being, right, is they've revised the Holocaust now. This is the Jews, right? They've revised the figures 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, so which one is it?
Which one is it? Yeah.
Well, what figure is it? You know, you've come out with this figure, then you come out with that figure. I'm not saying the Holocaust didn't happen. I'm simply saying, which figure is it? Make your fucking mind up.
It was definitely a genocide. We don't doubt that.
Yep.
It was definitely a genocide of Jews in Germany.
Yep.
But was it really 6 million, or does that suit an agenda?
Well, we'll never know. We weren't there, right?
We will never know, mate.
And whose figures were we going on? Because don't forget, they burnt the shit out of so many bodies. You'll never get an accurate fucking of what it was.
I love the idea that Hitler backed off to Argentina, mate. I actually believe that.
I don't know, mate, but I know the gold did. Yeah, there's a fuckload of gold went there.
He might have, but I think he probably lived a long life, mate, drank a lot of fucking wine, and thought, I can't wait for Klaus Schwab to take over.
Well, let's go.
Klaus Schwab's dad was like the third. He was building weapons and stuff for Hitler. He loved Hitler.
Well, here's a thought, right? Can you imagine if this story is true, how pissed off you would have been if you were Ava Braun? Just before he fucking decides to take her out and kill her, he marries her the day before. She'd hung on,
Yeah, no, we're going to die together, but I'm definitely taking you out first. Then off to Argentina.
Well, I'm going to die tomorrow. Might as well marry you then, love. Fucking fair play. Cheers for sticking by.
I might as well marry you. You're a little bit dirty, ain't you?
I met Frank from Tesco's, not Texas. Fucking sorry, Frank. Met Frank from Texas yesterday. Bought us a pint. Fuck me, it's been a long day so far already.
Yeah, well, I should imagine because you don't live in London. You're not from London, are you?
No, I was giving serious consideration. I'm Western-Supermare, so I was giving consideration to doing a live stream last night, but I got back. I hadn't eaten all day. I fucking ached from head to foot from walking around all bastard day.
Yeah.
But what pissed me off is all the money that I fucking spent to get there, the parking, the fucking taxi, the fucking congestion charge, and then my signal's fucked, so I can't stream. The whole purpose of why I was going there.
Yeah, the whole purpose of you being down there, mate.
And it's like,
as soon as yours came up, mate, I put it on.
And I think to myself,
35 minutes, and I did keep going back to it. I kept trying to go back to it, mate.
It's either that or I just video, and I have to then put a video together and then edit it there and then and send it up. But I want to live stream. Every other cunt's allowed to. Why can't I? Just fucks me off.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Fucking winds me up.
Because as I say, mate, that Susie fella, the old Iranian, mate, he was up the road.
But like, as I say, he's jumped on Tommy.
I like Stephen Yaxley.
Yeah, he's a good lad. He's fucking hard as fuck, right? Make no bones about this, right? That cunt has no fear at all. I've been with him. No, we've had the message. There's 2,000 Muslims come around and kick our heads in. There was fucking 16 of us. He went, fucking game on then, innit? I went, well, might as well. Yeah. They didn't come, but we were ready.
I'll give it a go, mate, but we're probably all going to die in this crusade.
Well, fuck, you got to die once.
I shouldn't use the word crusade on YouTube, should I?
Oh, no, crusade's all right. It depends on which area you shove it at, right? But anyway, we won't go there, will we?
I'm aiming at the right people, mate.
Yeah, steady. We're getting close now. Mate. We're getting close. So anyway, yeah, when I went on his MEP thing, it was fucking absolute shit show, right? Organised badly, right? However, it was a really good fucking troll, and he got out there and he got to speak to a lot of people from the religion of peace, and he asked some questions they couldn't answer. And Danny Tomo was there debating some.
Autistic kid for dropping a Quran in the school, mate.
Yeah, because that's brave, isn't it?
He's autistic. Yeah.
Yeah, fucked
the religion of peace, mate. Why did you blow up what was it? Fucking the area grand shit, mate.
Here's a thought.
It's all peace, mate.
Here's a thought, right? Yeah, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you and the viewer, right? Now, if you think you can, viewer, right? Press 1. If you think you can't, well, no, just okay. We'll have to go through this and give different numbers because it will be different questions, all right? If you think I can go over to an Islamic country and bang up a church and play out our music out of there, press 1 in the comments, all right? If you think I can go to a strong Islamic country and get a fucking protest together or walk down the street, press 2. If you think I can go over there and just start making up my own rules because of reasons and kick off, right? Let us know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
love those guys for Palestine, mate. I can't wait for them to go over.
Do you know what?
He turned around to me yesterday, mate. He turned around and he went, I saw a report where they're saying they're blowing up they're blowing up hospitals, they're blowing up schools in Gaza, they're blowing up churches. And my boy went, I don't think there's any churches in Gaza. I thought, no, they're probably the Jews are blowing them all up. But I doubt there were any churches there in the first place.
So Plastic African saw a poster that read in the shop, would I rather have 1,000 Muslim customers than one British soldier? And yet,
What?
yeah, somebody put that up there. Right.
That's because he's a fucking idiot, mate.
Well, no, he
French?
said that's the poster he read in a shop that said they'd rather have 1,000
I do
Muslim.
apologise.
No, he's all right.
Oh, right.
So
he's on our side.
Yeah, Plastic is.
I thought he was literally saying that he wanted 1,000 other people to. No, I do apologise. Then I do apologise. I'm sorry, I misinterpreted that. And what was the man's name?
Plastic African. He's probably pissed right up now. Bless his heart.
African,
He works hard and drinks hard.
Very sorry.
No, he's a good
Very
lad.
sorry for misinterpreting what you said.
And he chucked me a tenner as well, which is kind because I'm trying to recoup at the moment a little bit.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not surprised. I heard you say about how it cost you all last year, mate.
I'm trying to think.
£8,000, and you hadn't earned basically hadn't earned anything back from that.
YouTube, I mean the kit, and this is it. We've updated, we've changed the stuff
from to sort out for YouTube. Yeah, I heard you say that, mate. I was watching your live stream.
But we've got the most views at the moment that we've had for a long time, 651. Thank you very much. And I truly believe that if people got notified, we'd have a good go here. But
you'd have more, yeah.
People aren't getting notified, which it just boils my piss. But anyway,
like what you say, because you tell them the truth, mate. That's what people want. Yeah, the thing is, mate, that's what people want to hear. Yeah.
So as I said, we're going to talk about the day. So I'm going to just quickly recap. I don't know if you want to be on for that while I do that.
I don't mind.
Yeah, cool. Right, stay there.
I don't mind, mate.
So they set off, get there, get in a taxi. I talked about this yesterday, I think on Paz's. But anyway, it was great because I talked to this taxi driver and I said, I think there's a protest coming through. And he goes, it fucks me off, it does. He said, these protests walk all the way through fucking London. He says, you can't make any fucking money. He says, you might as well just knock it on the head and go home. And I was like, fucking hell. Because I've done a few protests before. So I was thinking, oh, shit. So I said, well, yeah, so I'm part of that Tommy lot. Well, that's different, he says. I don't mind that. He says, I'm totally on board with that. Totally on board with you. Well done. Us taxi drivers, we all feel the fucking same. And that was it. He went off. And I'm like, go on, son. Thank you very much. God bless you, geezer. Oh, I love it. So basically, chucked him a $5 tip because reasons, isn't it? Thanks very fucking much. And he got me right there. So we meets up after I probably walked the wrong direction a few times because I'm stupid. And I got down to Embankment. Now, for some reason, my north, south, east, and west doesn't really work in London. I'm fucking useless like a spinning top. However, we got there. We met up with Paz, who'd already walked past the cenotaph and seen them literally cordoning it all off. We met up with the boys. There was some down there already pissed up shouting. I'm like, fuck's sake, why are you doing this? But you have to understand that when you ask football lads, there's different variations of football lads. There's lads that are professional workers that then go to football and have a quick scrap. That was back in the day, right? There was those that are just fucking monsters that all they live for is the row. Now, when you ask all the football lads to join, you're going to get different variations. And there were some there that you could see that if they'd have got the chance, right? I mean, basically, if there was a justification for them, if there was a justification for them to punch some cunt, they would have done it. Yeah. But there was no justification.
I don't even know that they were righties, mate. I think they might have been Antifa shitbags, mate.
Well, you do get.
They love. Don't mind them January 6th, mate.
We had them in the pub.
I'm going to have to go, mate. I think I might have just found out that my mother-in-law might have just died, mate.
Oh, sorry about that, mate.
So I'm going to have to go.
All right, mate. Well, look, take steady and give us a shout, all right?
No, thank you, buddy. I really enjoy your cast, mate. I really enjoy listening to you, buddy. I'm going to have to say bye, though, bud.
All right, lovely.
Sorry, mate.
You take care, all right? I'll catch you in a bit.
Mate.
Cheers, mate.
Bye, bud.
Bye.
Thanks, mate.
Fuck. That's not what you want, is it? Right. Where are we? Let's get that on there. Israel have murdered 5,000 children and counting. Are you okay with that, Simon? Are you mental? Why would I be okay with that? Fucking, you've got to be off your tits. Why am I being called on the wrong number? Fuck off. But that's work as well. Oh, well, never mind. So anyway, right, so we get down there, met up. We worked out that Tommy was further up. Tommy had started walking up, right? Just fuck off. I don't know who you are, but wrong number. You call the other one. Let's try that one. Anyway, hi, Simon. Gutted I couldn't be there yesterday. Right, that's somebody. So anyway, marched down, got towards the cenotaph. That's where the old Bill started kettling people and saying, you can't go here, you can't go there. Ah, right, you're ringing the right number now. Hello.
Simon,
Hello.
it was me trying to ring the wrong number because you got the wrong number up on your screen, love.
Fuck me. Sorry. What a dick. My bad. Jesus Christ. Fuck's sake. I mean, really?
Listen, thoughts on yesterday. I did have a brief chat
Can
with
you
you,
just
so
take
you know
over
who I
for
am.
me while I have a fucking nervous breakdown here? Ah.
Just do it. Just have the breakdown.
Yeah, just
It's
get it out
fine.
your plate. Oh, Jesus, right. So, where were we? Right, yesterday. Well, I was just going to run through it, actually. We got there. They kettled us, right? We ended up walking around through the fuckers. We made it down. We formed up. And then problem is that the lads over the back, the loud ones, couldn't see shit anyway. There was a TV up, and they knew that they were starting to present all the poppies and the wreaths and stuff. I think they'd have shut up, but they couldn't see anything, right? Anyway, when all of a sudden Richard Inman was there trying to tell him to shut up, but he didn't have a loudspeaker, so nobody could fucking hear him anyway, right? But nice try, Rich. At least you had a go. Anyway, so all of a sudden they went quiet, and all you can hear is the birds. And the birds are weird in London. They're not like the birds around here. They make fucking odd noises. I've not heard those type of birds before.
You missed something. You missed the helicopter out because that.
That was it. Why did they send that helicopter right over the top, right at that moment? Fucking insensitive cunt. I'm sure it's just to stir up patriots and piss them off. Mind you, in saying that, the police chief, what is he? Oh, he's the one that's pro-Palestine, isn't he? So it's not.
No idea.
Yeah. He was the one that was singing from the river to the sea, isn't it? He's a Muslim guy, so he kind of fucked himself up a bit there. Anyway, so he's doing that, and there's fucking helicopter right at, when the church, when the Big Ben gongs, and we all have the 2-minute silence. They fucking hover, and they're doing they're hovering, and then they're doing a hard turn, which sounds even louder. I'm like, you insensitive, useless cunts. Anyway. Yep. So that happens, and then there was a big applause, and then basically the lads filtered off to go to their own place. But we went to a pub, and there were infiltrators coming in trying to get it detailed, pretending they were football supporters. It was like, what football team do you support? All right, who's your main player? And they couldn't answer any. They're like, mate, fuck off. And this happened a lot before, but there were. But yeah, what was it you wanted to say, love? Sorry.
Right. Well, me and you had a brief chat yesterday, so you'll know exactly who I am. I'm not willing to put it out there.
Was that when we were walking down the embankment?
It was.
Well, did your car get home all right?
It did, yeah. Well, I stopped off at Dafters for a cuppa.
Yeah.
When I got back in the car, it was like another 2 hours for me to get home.
Right. Basically speaking, how far did you come to get to London?
Well, I came from Newcastle area, then I went to Hull.
Right.
And then from Hull down to London.
And then on the way back, the engine light came on and it went into limp mode, and you had to make it all the way home, didn't you?
Yeah, but when I got to Dafters, after I'd had a cuppa, when I got in the car, the engine manifold light weren't on, and it didn't come back on all the way home. It was weird. So I think it might have just been the overheating getting out of London. It took us an hour and a half because every road we tried to get out, it was like we were kettled in the car. Yeah. We couldn't get out.
I know that feeling, love.
It was mental.
Well, it's because and fucking 120,000 fucking people from the religion of happiness were all trying to fuck off at the same time.
Yeah. It seemed that way.
And
I mean, from a personal perspective on yesterday, I really, really would like to thank everybody who came because I'm a military mum. I am a military mum, and it meant so much because I was quite intent on going down there anyhow, because it's not just about our dead; it's about those that are serving as well, that protect our freedoms. And I was intent on going down there on my own anyhow. And thank you to Dafter and his daughter for coming with me, because it gave me some company on going down. Do you know what I mean? But obviously there was those that were going to march which shouldn't have been allowed. They should have just stopped it. The police, chief of police down at the Met should have just turned around. You can protest any day of the year, just not over this weekend.
But that's the whole purpose.
Our culture.
To wind us up to do something stupid, then they can make us look bad.
So as a military mum that wants to go down there, and I have family that served in military, family that died in wars as well. So I want to go down there, stand there as a military mum and pay my respects, and not have any threat from any crazy protest that's against anything that's British in this country. To have all them, and I stood there, Simon, and I watched them when they all walked down. Yeah, they were chanting and the rest of it and everything else, but they did, and they were so respectful during those 2-minute silence. To then sit here this morning and watch mainstream news where it's saying all these far right, this, that, and the other. So am I far right because I'm a military mum? Are all them veterans that were stood there, are they all far right?
Yes,
because,
by their, the military, not the military, the Overton window shifted, right? You know about that, right? So if you, in the 80s, you would have been considered to be traditional, patriotic, probably centre right, okay? And now, because they pulled the rug out from underneath us and pulled the Overton windows so far to the left, that we're right on the boundaries of as far as you can go right, just because you're traditional. We have to accept this. We were forced right. We're not far right. We were forced right. That's where we are. So
you don't think it's so disrespectful, though, Simon?
Well, that's the point.
To call all their veterans and all their families far right in the mainstream media.
But they want to disrespect them. They hate them. They hate our own serving fucking forces. Don't forget, the moment they leave, they're considered to be an enemy of the state because of their training or what they know. This is a fact, right? If they liked their veterans so much, they wouldn't have so many 1,000 of them sleeping rough up and down the country. Oh, by the way, that's a fucking lifestyle choice, isn't it? That's my fault. I should have remembered. But what it is when you're mentally fucked from going to a war and seeing your mate get blown up, or you got blown up yourself in an IED or whatever it is, you ain't never going to be the same again. And they don't try to deprogram you and give you all the treatment that you need so that you can fit back into society. Don't forget, you've had a job where you're in charge of millions of pounds worth of kit. You're doing the most exciting things in the world, risking life and limb. You're seeing some of the most dramatic sights you're ever going to see. You're all over the fucking place. And then you come back and they won't give you a job working on a factory like production line or whatever. You can't pay the bills. Your life is so unexciting. And yet your head is still back at war. What do they think people are going to be?
It's not just when they've left, even you're serving. And I know this obviously as a military mum. They don't get treated right well. Maybe, they get a good wage. They don't get travel warrants anymore. They can't even, this is a fact, they can't even, if they get taken ill when they're at home on leave, see a doctor. They won't see you because you can't be treated under the NHS. Well, you can go to A&E, but you can't go and see a doctor.
What about the people that join up and they tell them that actually our kit's a bit shit, so if you want to go to the shop and buy your own kit, you'd probably be better off. There's parts of the kit that's so crap. Yeah, and it's like, you cannot send your men to war in substandard fucking kit. You just can't do it, but they do. I mean, think about it, right? Do you remember the Falklands War? Because of the cutbacks, the kit that they wore during, like basically when they're under attack in stuff like the Sheffield or the Coventry, this stuff that they pulled over them to save them from burns was fucking fire. It wasn't fireproof. I mean, how the hell do you put uniform on that's supposed to stop you burning in a flashover, right? When it's actually flammable. It's just dumb. But it's... from regarding yesterday, as a military mum, for me to feel safe having to take a stab vest down with me, is that normal? It's not normal, is it? Just to pay me respects. No and yes.
That isn't normal.
It is now normal London, right? Don't forget, I used to have to go to Speaker's Corner. I used to wear a stab vest because I used to wind the cunts up.
Because you just don't know, do you? You really don't know. And for those that are out there that are saying, oh, well, they weren't wearing a poppy. Can I just say something? I bought 4 of those new stupid paper poppies, and every time I tried to put one on, they just fall apart. And I was like, what on earth are these about? You know, probably the streets, all down Whitehall is probably littered with bits of paper now, you know, from old poppies falling apart.
I've seen loads of them like that are falling apart. So that just shows just the fucking, even the quality of paying their respects now is cheap and shit. Probably made in China or someplace like that. In slave labour.
Probably all for this net zero crap, isn't it?
Well, brilliant.
But no, it were a long drive. It was totally worth it.
And how much did it cost you to get there?
Oh my God. Probably 70 odd quid each way.
Right.
And then there was the parking, which we paid £11 odd for, which incidentally, where we parked, it was in a hotel because I pre-booked.
You mean where you camped?
The hotel. yeah, where we camped because we got there and got like 2 hours sleep in the car before we got up and like headed out. As soon as we walked out of the hotel where we parked, it was literally where all the coaches were and everything of all the police from all over Britain, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Daft, we just literally walked out the hotel into it all. I was like, oh my. Well, we couldn't have planned that any better. But
I parked the van in their protest. I thought I was well clear. No. I walked back through thousands and thousands of these fucking jihad supporting, terrorist fucking loving, flag waving knobs, right? And then all the little white soy boy, fucking soy girl, left wing, fucking extreme Marxist pricks that have been taken for a ride. And literally, I'm walking that way. Thousands are walking this way. I'm bursting for a piss, bursting for a shit, nowhere to fucking go. Anywhere that looks like it could have been open, now it's got security, ain't letting anybody in. I'm like, this is fucking absolutely fucking brilliant. This is. It just pissed me off.
Where we were, you could walk through from the car park into the hotel and use their bathroom. Because I think it was something like 5 o'clock in the morning. I needed loo, and I just walked in and went to the toilet.
Sure.
So we could get ready in toilet there, in hotel and everything.
Well, I had a toilet in the van, although I'll only go for a piss in there, and I ain't like that. But anyway, I got back to the van, and I couldn't even go for a piss because I realised that just all around the van is like I wouldn't call them the enemy, but people that don't fucking like me, right? And I was like, you can't get worse for a bloke, right? You stood at the urinal sometimes. If everyone's around you, you just can't go, right? You get fucking just waiting. You're like, sorry, lads. Do you get that? Yeah, I get that all the time. Yeah, nothing's happening, mate. You have a go, and I'll stand over there and look like a twat and come back in a minute. So anyway, it's a bit like that. But anyway, I just thought, fuck it, I'm getting out of London. And luckily, it didn't take too much to get out of London, and I was gone because most, it seems to me, came from north. And I was heading west, so there wasn't that many. But do you remember that Pakistani bloke going, and we're putting on lots of buses, there's plenty of money in the kitty for all of this, there's plenty in the pot. And that's the betterment of Islam. And the betterment of Islam comes from all of these dodgy places. Like if you've got a Muslim-run car wash, right, it'll come from there. The Turkish barbershops and all of these other places pay into the betterment of Islam. The betterment of Islam is for things like this and other things. So they've got all this money to fund, to get people like boots on the street. And that's what they do. We on the right have to pay for ourselves. Now it costs you best part of 170 quid, probably all in after everything's paid. That's you on your jab.
Probably a bit more because there were like food and services, where you stop off to get something to eat and drinks and stuff. And, you cost a lot of coffee sort of thing.
Cost a lot.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like you go in there and Dick Turpin's there with a mask. How can I help? Oh, just take all my cash, thanks. Oh, lovely. I'll get a tiny coffee. That'd be lovely. But going back to the day, I did not see myself any violence at all.
No.
Right, I've seen other people's videos since that look like at the end of the day, there were a couple of knobs, pissed right up that decided they want to give it to Islam. But these are the same sort of people that would fight amongst themselves when they were pissed up because that's just what they are. All right. But they didn't represent.
You could see who they were anyhow yesterday, couldn't you?
These are people
you could see who they were yesterday.
They're trouble. They're just trouble. They'd be trouble wherever they went. Right.
Did you stop to think, because it just triggered something with my brain this morning. You know how they made everybody walk through, and it doesn't matter whether you're coming with Tommy. It doesn't matter about Tommy. It doesn't matter about where people go about EDL that were disbanded in 2015 anyhow. It doesn't matter who you were or what background you came from yesterday. You were still there to pay your respects. So there shouldn't be any division with anybody that were there yesterday.
Well, division is why there was a movement once and now there's not.
Yeah, well, where they made us walk through, where it was like either singly or doubly, where we walked through that part of fencing to get near the cenotaph sort of thing.
Mm.
Did you stop to think that there was a facial recognition camera there?
Yeah. Well, you're in Whitehall. If you looked up, if you looked up on the building next to the entrance to Downing Street, there was facial recognition there. There was one on the other.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was on top of the building right next to the station where we waited, and he had a camera and he videoed all of us and then fucked off. They were out. Yeah. And they've made it quite clear that what they're going to do is pursue going after these hoodlums and thugs that caused all of this violence during the ceremony. Really? Because where I was stood, mate, there
wasn't any.
Exactly, right?
There wasn't any, was there?
Now, if you want, Paz has put out a video where he videoed the 2-minute silence to prove that everybody was silent and all you could hear was those fucking weird birds. Now, I'm used to sparrows and pigeons and seagulls and shit here, but fucked if I know what there are in London. Probably pterodactyl or something.
Do you know what it made me think of when I was stood there? You know, when it was really quiet and I could hear the birds? In my brain, last month, I actually went over to Krakow and I stayed there for a couple of days and we did Auschwitz and Birkenau.
Apparently serious fucking it.
Well, that's what it made me think of when I could hear the birds. And in my brain, it just went, I didn't hear any of that when I was there. There's no birds that fly over that place. It's weird.
Apparently, my daughter went there. She said, you know, you're in a built-up area, actually, but you can't hear the cars. So it's just fucking weird. I was like, probably is.
Yeah, it's a strange place. It's a strange place. But I agree with you. No, but
a lot of people died there. There were prisoners of war.
Yeah.
There were Jews. There were backward people. There were gypsies. There were Russian soldiers. All sorts of people that just didn't
children.
They didn't like the system. Yeah, that fucking lot. They just tipped them all in there and killed them all. They worked them to death. Most of them all. They had a lot of them died of like disease or whatever it was. Because let's be honest, they weren't a very nice place. You've got the birds were speaking the local tongue. All right, so we've got Arabic birds. Are we up there? For fuck's sake. Probably right. Well, somebody's put here drone birds. All right, yeah. Funny fucking noise.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying with I mean, nobody, if somebody denies that it happened, then they need to go and pay a visit to where I went. But there's no denial of what happened. But yeah, you're right with the numbers. They keep changing.
No worries.
And on top of that, they burnt a lot of people out in open air at Birkenau, and at the other camps as well. So if they're burning bodies out in the open air, how can you have a correct figure?
I mean, in the beginning, they started to gas them, didn't they, with cars, and that didn't work because that just was shit. Anyway, look, what I'm going to do is see if anybody else wants to ring in. We've got 779 people. Let's see if we can get 800. Well, see if we can get 1,000. That'd be nice. So keep sharing with everybody else, and let's see what actually gets on this. And there it is. Anyway, my lovely, I will see if I can get on to the next one because I've been told I need to hurry through the calls a bit more because I hang around too long. There you go.
No bother, Simon. All right, you take care, love, and thank you.
No worries. Take it steady. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Bye. So, yeah, basically went down there. We watched that. Then we went to different places to speak to the football lads and other people. Right, we've got an international call. This should be interesting. Hello, international call.
Oh, hello. Is this Simon's line?
It is indeed. Where are you calling from if it's international?
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, Simon. Yeah, I'm calling from Ireland.
Okay.
Great day yesterday. Went to the local memorial here in Southern Ireland.
There was enough Irish that died in the First World War, weren't they? They were bloody massacre.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, just in our local area, hundreds. So I'm, an Irish nationalist living back in my ancestral homeland, having been born in the diaspora, like most Irishmen. But I served in the Falklands War as well.
Okay, what part were you in doing that then? Because obviously there was naval and obviously onshore.
Yeah, I was with Airborne Forces. I was the Power Signals unit, and so my boss got killed. I was with him that night. Another guy in our unit got killed. But war's messy and unpredictable and best avoided. But I left the British Army. Then I went on and spent just over 15 years as a war photographer covering wars in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and East Africa. But what's clear, and I think we as nationalists need to talk about, is that all wars are rigged, and they're all war is a racket, and it's all war is a crime.
It's a rich man's trick.
But this is a crime being committed, according to the historical record and contemporary data, by the international money power, by the central bank cartel. That's really what it's all about. So we all get socially engineered into these conflicts. But I think we just have to look at that elephant in the room and the international money power. And so that's, to me, what Remembrance Day should be about, is, honoring and remembering, the military, the combatants and the civilians that die in these war crimes, but to primarily focus on who are the architects of this.
Who benefits from it? Who set it up? Who funds both sides? Who supplies the arms? Who supplies all the rest of the military kit that an army needs to march on? Who then comes along after the the destruction, and et cetera, and then puts the building contracts in place, and then employs its own people, and then sets the loan for that country to be fixed again. Who benefits from all that? Well, it's private bankers, isn't it? Now, who are the private bankers? You work it out for yourselves, right? But who is it? Because it's not just the private bankers that can organize this war. It has to take a lot of complicit wankers who go against their own people and set a war up. First World War, that happened. That was always going to happen because there was a lot of nations at the time. They were trying to be the most powerful in the world. Germany were coming out of themselves and trying to take over, and so were us and others, whatever. But the Second World War, the ending of the First World War ensured that the Second World War would happen because they've made so much money out of the First World War, they didn't know what to do with. So the Second World War was inevitable. And after the Second World War, they realized that they rinsed the entire of Europe out, and other parts of the world that couldn't afford another war. So we'll then spread over to the Middle East and then do that in Europe and Asia and stuff. Then there's been constant war ever since.
Yeah. And I think that one of the great things about our Christian faith, you know, I'm an Irish Catholic, but, you know, I have fellowship with the Protestant groups and the Orthodox groups. So, you know, my heart is that I'm a traditional Irish Catholic. And so I think that's where my moral compass comes from. But the great part about our faith is the infiltration of the money power that had been going on for a couple of thousand years before Christ turned up was really, the international money power infiltrates the priesthood of whether they be city-states way back then, or nation-states, and because that holds the moral compass, and that should hold the leadership, whether it be a monarch or whoever's running your city-state. It's what was happening in Mesopotamia and Babylon and way back before Christ came, and it's the infiltration by the international money power, by this Babylonian money system, had taken place. And that's what he was exposing when he kicked them out of the temple. And that's the only time he got violent and angry, very, very, he wanted to hurt these people, is because that's what he was doing. But of course, now all the Christian churches have been infiltrated by this international money power. Mm-hmm. So they kind of gatekeep what's really going on. But I think that's a very important, and of course, his last public speech, Matthew 23, is how we should critique power. And that's what he did very effectively there. But of course, the churches don't critique power in the way they have done in the past, and certainly don't do anymore. But that's it. I mean, it's a supernatural battle that we're up against. It was exposed, 2,000 years ago, and it's been 24. Evil's supposed to do evil things, and good, has to try and expose it. But like Christ said, we expose our enemies, but we can't hate them. We have to hate what they do, of course, but we have to literally love our enemies. So it's a kind of test of our own faith. Can you pray for Tony Blair? Can you pray for Bibi Netanyahu?
You can't save the guy's soul, no matter what you did. He's cursed.
You can't. It's not our job to say that.
No, he has to go and make his own.
They have an eternal soul and deserve our prayer.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest with a guy like that. I think he was a flawed soul from the moment he was hatched until the moment he'll pop his clogs. And I believe that these people know that they'll never ever win the affections of the good Lord. So it's easier to win the affections of the evil cunt and serve him.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. It's a mystery, isn't it? But what we are here, and I think if we look into our own lives, that we haven't always been the holiest people we've known, and I think we have a fallen nature, we have flawed characters, but I think if you're aware of that, it's a lot easier to kind of stay in a state of grace. But it's a constant effort. It's 24/7, and you get revealed before yourself as you go through the day that we are imperfect. But I think striving to be in a state of grace is very important, especially in our nationalist movement.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that the First World War hastened or hurried up the fact that the Irish realized that they'd been used as cannon fodder in the lines, and that they didn't want to be doing this again for a group that they didn't see had their best interest? Do you think that hastened the war on independence and why they went the way they did? Because it wasn't long after the First World War, I should say, that we had the partition, wasn't it? Where basically Ireland went its own way.
Well, I see, civil wars are always rigged and shepherded by outside forces anyway, whether it be the American Civil War or even, even famines. I mean, I've covered famines all over the world, or particularly in Africa, crops do fail, but famines are rigged, just like the Irish famine was completely rigged. And so I think there's just always been an awareness for many centuries. The Irish have been kind of under this boot that George Orwell talks about, that's beyond the human face forever. I think the Irish genetically for many, many centuries have kind of been under that boot. So there's a genetic memory of it as well. But politics in Ireland now is massively infiltrated.
Well, the people that were there to save
them. So Ireland's never really been it. We're not truly a sovereign nation.
No, you're owned by the EU. But that was what I wanted to know: is why is it that the IRA, who fought for the independence of a total, they wanted all of Ireland to be under one socialist state, right? So that was a bit deluded. But why is it that when they actually started to get the hands of power, that they then all they want to do is take it from the Brits and give it over to the EU? And then why is it now that a country such as Ireland has got a quarter of its population of a different colour now, and that happened within the last 10 years? If Sinn Féin was so much about the Irish people and looking after the Irish ways, why would Sinn Féin do that? Why? Because they're bought and paid for. And they always were. They had, right, don't forget, Jerry Adams.
Infiltration of things like Fabian socialism. I mean, understanding what Fabian socialists want. Communism is just capitalism without the competition. So these Fabian socialists, it's important to understand that they're a massive part of it. And then you get into the Council on Foreign Relations and the Royal Institute of International Affairs. Just understanding the architecture of evil, really, and who they primarily serve. And all intelligence agencies feed back to the international money power. CIA is just MI6 West. So that's what the data is telling us. And so the Irish, I think that there's a growing awakening all over the world. And I think nationalism, when it's correctly understood what it is and presented as such, is the key to world peace and the key to a cleaner natural environment.
Do you realize
is why they're attacking nationalism, because nationalism, it's rooted in natural law.
Do you know the true IRA, right, are now talking to the true loyalists about how they're going to overcome the problem that you now have? I know because I speak to people, and I know they do. And they're more worried now, not about their differences. They put them things aside because what they've got coming is a far bigger problem than anything about arguing over their particular birthright, their particular version of Christianity, etc., etc. So having this problem may actually cure the original problem, or at least put it to, I mean, when these people or eventually will fight alongside each other to protect themselves from the thing that's coming, they may end up having realized that they haven't got that much differences between them, and that maybe they can put it aside permanently. But I do believe that if, say, for instance, we gave over Northern Ireland to be part of Southern Ireland and to be sucked into the EU, England would suffer, and so would Northern Ireland, and Southern Ireland would suffer even more. But I think the European Union is an evil force that wants the worst thing at all. Do you remember when you lot voted?
Well, it was meant to be. The European Union was created to destroy European nations. That was its purpose,
and take its sovereignty.
And it's done it very effectively. And it's creating, as if people can study, it's called a strategy of tension. So that's what's always been arranged, is the strategy of tension, and whether we divided over leaving Brexit, or whether it be sexual stuff.
Do you remember when they gave you the vote?
I mean, so it's always creating a dynamic of tension. So understanding Fabian socialism is key, and who they primarily work for, which is the international money power.
But they voted. You lot voted to leave.
All the work you do.
You lot voted to leave at one point. So they gave you the vote, and you voted you wanted to leave. And they went, well, look, what is your problem? Why is it you want to leave? And you said, well, it's this one, this one, this one, this one. You come out with at least 10 different problems that you said are the key point of why you want to leave the European Union. So the European Union said, well, if we concede on these and give you these things, will you vote again and consider? So you went, right, yep, do that. And they chucked some money your way. Anyway, you voted to remain. And after that, they gave you nothing back. And I don't think you'll ever be given a referendum to vote out. You're stuck there now until the European Union collapses.
Democracy is the opium of the people, and oligarchs love liberal democracy. Read the book, The God That Failed, Democracy, The God That Failed.
Apparently, by the way, your IQ is about... Somebody said your IQ is about 160. Thought you'd like that.
Well, the international... Understanding how once academia, once the priestly class, once politics and mainstream media is infiltrated and at the service of the international money power, it's difficult to kind of run a country as a true democracy because you can't critique power. And like the media doesn't, the primary purpose of the media, I worked in the media, I feel, is to critique power, but it doesn't critique power. It's in the service to power. And, but yeah, we just got to keep struggling along and stay in a steady grace. And that's, I think, a key part of it. And to love your enemies and to bring back nationalism and see it as a way to create world peace. And that's
can I ask you another question?
I think is so attacked.
They're all debating your IQ is about 160 or over. Can you just tell them, just because they're saying he's way too intelligent. He's way too intelligent. So what is your IQ, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer at all. You can just say it's okay.
It doesn't matter. I still lose my keys. But it's just, so study. And I think just people study. When I was at boarding school, my family, I spent 6 years of my childhood in Germany. So my family sent me back to England. I went to a boarding school in southern England in the New Forest. And my German language teacher there was a gentleman, a Jewish man he loved Germany. And his story was he jumped off the back of a truck whilst he's being transported to a labor camp, and somehow he made it to Europe. He was a young man at the time, and then made it to Europe, and then there he was teaching in my school, Homefield College, which is now no longer, but it was a small boarding school in the New Forest. Most of the people there were, their family were in the military. My father had this idea that I'd become an Irish general in the British Army, which was the last thing I wanted to do. I just joined the army just so I could, learn a bit about camping and jump out of big airplanes.
A lot of Southern Irish did join the British Army, didn't they? And then they said they'd had a job over in England. They wouldn't tell, obviously, people in the South what they were doing, but they did join the army, didn't they? Yeah, and a lot of Irish in the army, because I've got an Irish name, so McCarthy. So they, a lot of Irish didn't serve in the North, and it would kind of hold your career back a bit if you were known to be one of those. And I never got sent there anyway. I was, I was with the Enroll Battalion of Airborne Forces. We were always based in Aldershot. One was in the North, one was in Germany, but we were always with the Enroll Battalion in Aldershot. So I never got ordered to go to Ireland. I wouldn't have gone anyway. So there is a sense of being Irish. And if you look at elite forces, first and second tier elite, special forces, Marines and paras, there's an overrepresentation of the Irish in these units. So if you took the Irish out of the British Army, you'd have much less of an army. But then you could say for the other Five Eyes nations of well, not just the UK, but Canada, USA, Australia, and New Zealand, there's a lot of Irish in the elite forces there. But they have you have a sense of. I think people born in the diaspora often have a more sense of being Irish than those born here, Can you imagine if you'd gone over to Canada to make a new life, and then you got enlisted in the First World War? Hello? Can you hear me all right? Hello? Oh, is he still there? Yeah, still there. Yeah. I was saying, can you imagine if you left Ireland for a new life over in Canada?
I'm still here.
And then came... And then you ended up being basically put into the First World War and ended up serving over in the trenches anyway, because the Canadians got absolutely smashed in the First World War, the poor sods. And they had some really good leaders as well. But
the whole thing was a murder.
Meat grinder, wasn't
it? Yeah. 80% of the student body of Oxford and Cambridge died in the trenches of the First World War. So it literally cut off the brightest Scottish, English, Irish, and Welsh before they had children, and those that did survive the First World War and went on to have children, their children got wiped out in the Second World War. So the whole thing is a murder machine. So it's not, we can't get overly distracted by it, but always going, well, who were the architects of this murder machine? And then looking at the esoteric side of what they believe in. They genuinely believe that all of humanity is less than human, and unless it's part of their
yeah, that is exactly
their group.
Going back to what you
Christ pointed all this stuff out. I think that's important. Oh, the book, I should say, the German teacher, my German language teacher, a Jewish man from my school, the books he introduced me to at the time, which really helped me on my journey, were The Controversy of Zion by Douglas Reed. He was the Sunday Times correspondent. That was my first job, but he was the Sunday Times correspondent in Berlin before, during, and after the Second World War. Had interviewed Hitler a few times. Hitler, the father of Israel, really, by signing the transfer agreement. But that book's very important. The Controversy of Zion by Douglas Reed is an essential read. And then the other book I learned during that time, because I was a teenager when I was reading these things, was the Winter in Moscow by Malcolm Muggeridge, which is another good read. But
you brought up something I want to talk about.
UNZ.com is good. A Jewish guy from California, where I used to live. You know the UNZ review, UNZ.com?
I don't know. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, we're having a bit of trouble with the signal.
UNZ.com, veteranstoday.com is also very useful.
So you could always share the links if you get them
and
in the comments.
HenryMacau.com, another Jewish man from Canada, is very good.
But going back, I want to go back to what you were saying,
Henry,
by the way.
Henry, MAKOW, Veterans Today.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the upper class who went to serve, the ones that came from Eton and got wiped out. At the time, there were these people that were they were set to go into politics and banking and stuff like this, and they wanted more excitement out of life because their parents and their parents' parents had done this, which is why they went off to the war, and they wanted to do their bit for their country, and they wanted the excitement. Now, as you say, they got wiped out. But the people who remained, which would have been the family members who were either too young but can remember them going off, or women or whatever, they came back and said that at the time we had a control on politics. The upper class had a control because we used to have dinner parties, we'd have social events where we could have some input to the people who had the input, and we could control things and guide things. When our kids died, who were the people that were going to take on the mantle or inherit our fortunes or carry on like that, we lost our stake at the table. We lost our ability to control, and the ruling elites lost their ability to shape the way that Great Britain went, because with the death of these people died their stake or their ability. And they were quite gutted about this, but they said it was probably a natural progression that had to happen. And I'm wondering now just how much it made a massive impact on the direction that Great Britain went in, where these people died in the First World War. What would our country have been like had they have lived? And it's something we'll never know, but I'm wondering whether it would have been better.
Yeah, it would be very different. We won't.
We lost a lot there, just not human beings.
But
we lost a lot of other things.
That's the important thing, is we are alive, and we lost massively. And but it's up to us. It's happening on our watch, so we have to do everything we can to change these things. But under the Fabian socialists, they want this one world government. They want a one world government.
They want slaves out of people. They want to take away everybody's
we're being
ability.
engineered into. Now with the
Yeah, somebody said it's a big club and we're not in it.
Well, in their own writings, I think if you read Bill Joy's, that's what. Yeah, but it's why the future doesn't need us. That was when I was living in Silicon Valley. I think he wrote that in just a year before 9/11. But that was the talk of the town when I was there. Bill Joy's letter, it was in Wired magazine, but it's called "Why the Future Doesn't Need Us" by Bill Joy. And so all the elites, that's their big decision, is how many of us do they want to keep around?
Well, you've seen the interview
and
with
in their own
Prince
writings, they don't want to keep many of us around.
No, they don't. They want 10% of us.
Figure out how to get rid of us.
But they said, basically in the old days, we used to have factories which needed manpower. We needed people to dig canals. We needed people to make the roads. We needed just hands with shovels, hands doing something else. We needed a huge amount of humans because a lot of them would die of disease, die of hard work, die from whatever causes. And everything was so massively labor intensive that we needed a population to do that. Now things are done by computer and done by robots and production lines, etc., that they don't have the need. And we've got many people that can't work now because of reasons, right? And they don't need them. And when something comes along and they all take an intervention and it's not very good for them, and I'm not going to go into more detail than that, right? That's great. But they want us gone. They don't need us. And right. We said it earlier on, actually, in this particular live stream, that Prince Philip himself said, if I could come back as a virus or a disease, I'd rather do that. So the man's, he's part of that group. That's their design.
Yeah, that's the esoteric side of it. There is a collective madness in them as well, because they've obviously denied their creator, even though science has proven, if you look into physics and maths, has proven God, really. And of course, the physicists that are kind of claiming this are being pushed out of Ivy League academia, but it's well known, and we can see so deep inside a cell now. We can see inside the things inside the cell, so it's pretty awesome. But there's such an essential read, because this 300-year experiment with industrialization has obviously failed. So I think the book Blip, B-L-I-P, Blip by Christopher Clugston, is another essential read. Once you get that, we cannot maintain this industrial life that much longer. I mean, we're literally, the rare earth minerals and all the commodities that are essential to kind of keep this culture of make believe going. This bread and circuses, it's just it can't be kept together. They can't hold it together, which is why nationalism is the key to a cleaner natural environment and the key to the end of all wars, because we have to get to that place. Because of what's coming, we cannot maintain this industrial lifestyle.
But like you said, if they attack your belief in our religion, like Christianity, if they make you believe that nothing that what was said, it's all make believe and all fairy tale and all written in a book, and that God didn't create the world or whatever. If they make you believe that, then you're going to say, well, what's the need for religion if it's all made up? Why am I following it? And that's exactly their plan. But their religion, they will follow to the letter, many of them. But a lot of them will actually break a lot of the rules in their religion when it lines their pockets, because they're not true religious. There's different types. But if you look at Islam, the people that follow Islam truly believe it. Right? The people at the top are businessmen. The people at the top of any religion are businessmen, mostly. I mean, and I believe that they're trying to make us believe that Christianity is a bad thing, and it's shit, and it's got this, that, and the other wrong with it, so we won't fight under it. That's what I think, personally. What do you think? Oh, we've lost it.
Yeah, well, they're definitely engineering a clash of civilizations. But that's why that's sort of why when you look into the esoteric side of all these, whether it be the Council on Foreign Relations and the International Money Power and the Royal Institute of International, when you actually look at what they believe, it's like Trotsky said. Trotsky, and of course that wasn't his real name, but he said, "Destroy everything." Yep. And another great thing he said was, "When I hear the word culture, I reach for my revolver." So so these Trotskyites, peace be upon them.
And what happened to him?
Just doing what evil people are supposed to do.
What happened to Trotsky? He got taken out.
As men of God, as good men, as best we can be, we just have to do what we do best. But
the thing is, Trotsky believed in this idea, and yet he got taken out by the people who believed in his idea, kind of. Wasn't he exiled, and then somebody went over and put a pick into his head or something like that?
Well, it just wasn't the right time.
But here's the thing about socialism and communism: it's never the right time, is it?
In Mexico.
Or it's never done properly, or whoever enforced it wasn't doing it right, or whatever. That's the one we always get to hear about.
The generation of today has
been trashed.
Yeah, well, look, just try and read that book. I think you'll enjoy that. Actually, it's a really good. Douglas Reed was a great writer, and it's for these times, because I am supportive of the Jewish nation. I don't believe in this Zionist crime, which has always been the enemy of the Jewish people. But I do believe that the Jewish people must, live under God, and so that the nation under God will survive. But the Zionist project is an enemy of the Jewish people, and that's what the historical record and contemporary data tells us. But Zionism is just really a forward firing base for the City of London, for the international money power, for the central banking cartel. That's all Zionism is. But it was never intended to be a Jewish homeland, but just a homeland for the Jews. So, and of course, there are many Orthodox Jews who, campaign in Israel and outside of the Zionist state against Zionism. But yeah, I'm a nationalist for all peoples of the world, but primarily I'm an Irish nationalist. But I totally support the nationalist movement as long as it's trying to be under God and it loves all nations. To me, nationalism means that you love all nations of the world, but you love your nation the best. And the duties of a nationalist are to demand and to ensure that a representation of the finest of your people occupy the commanding heights of all its institutions. So that's nationalism. It's certainly not about hate for your neighboring nation. Two great commandments are love God and love your neighbor.
But it's the most natural.
They're the greatest commandments.
It's the most natural position to be in, isn't it?
About love, truth, and better ideas for the sake of all nations of the world.
I don't understand people that aren't nationalists.
Yeah,
I can't
let the French be French,
Yeah, I mean, I always thought that the people
because it's about love. It's about beauty. It's about the pursuit of excellence on your own terms without bothering your neighbor, and be there to help your neighbor if needed.
I always looked at nationalism as a roast dinner, right? Now, I want France to look like France did years and years ago, where you go there and it's full of the people who look white, who look normal to that place. They've got the culture going on and everything is very, very French. I want you to go to Spain and it be like Spanish people used to be, not now, right? Go around all the different parts of the world. I want Africa and India to look like Africa and India. I want Great Britain to look like it did, because otherwise what they want is this blend, okay? And it's like taking your roast dinner. At the moment, you can taste all the different parts of your roast dinner, but if you liquidize it, it's all just one brown mash, right? And why would you want to take away all of the flavor and the taste of any particular country that's natural to that country and just make it one brown mash of nothingness? And that's what the European Union want to do. That's what the people in these governments want to do. They want to flood the West full of people who don't represent it, dilute them down. And who was that other geezer that wanted them all to be one color? I can't remember his bloody name now. And it's the something plan. God, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, I don't believe in any of that. Kalergi, that's the man. Yeah.
The Kalergi plan.
Yeah, what a lovely little creature he was. And his plan was that apparently we don't get on.
Kalergi committed suicide, and he was mixed race anyway.
Wasn't it Japanese or Chinese or something?
He was a victim of miscegenation, which is. Yeah, he's a bit of Japanese. Yeah, Kalergi's interesting, but he's just a front. I mean, all these people are just fronts. I mean, they don't come up with these ideas. Marx and Engels. I mean, these, but it's all the head of the beast, the international money power. I mean, not one nation in Africa. I covered wars in Africa, but not. I mean, Nigeria is at least 4 countries, so there's not one country in Africa that had its borders determined by the African people. I mean, they were all these kind of propositional nations, just like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the USA, that were created by the central banking cartel. But no, Africa suffers terribly because it doesn't have the finest Africans occupying the commanding heights of its people.
No, because
Gaddafi had some interesting ideas, so he had to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just low-level clerks, whether it be all politicians of Europe or all politicians of the world. These are just low-level clerks in service to the international money power, because that's what the data tells us. So we can't, let's do conspiracy analysis rather than conspiracy theory. So,
but that's why
I should send you my vision and my 26-point plan of how I think we can get out of here.
Send it over. I'll read it out. I don't mind. But when do you think that normal people will get back to politics?
No, I don't know. Do you have a website or something?
What I would say is join Discord and send it over there.
Well, I think once you get the vision and the way.
Sorry. If you
there's no political movement that has any solutions at all. I mean, I've study them all, but there aren't really. I think Dr. Shiva I chat with him. Dr. Shiva over in America, who's running for president, is interesting. He's the guy that invented email, and so I'm kind of in touch with him, and he's got a lot of good ideas, but he still doesn't understand nationalism as being the cure to all of this.
It seems the most natural thing.
But he's very bright, and I think he's worth listening to.
I've just put a link in the chat.
Yeah, it's good. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, if you want to celebrate diversity, you become a nationalist. And nationalism is about the genuine celebration of diversity. And there are about 650 main ethnic groups, and linguists and geneticists can help us with this. But there's maybe about 650 countries in the world, like there's 40 million Kurds, and they don't have a country. So, but because the UN, which is created by the deep state, they were only allowed kind of 200 nations. The job of the UN really is to manage the chaos created by the international money power, and that's it. That's the purpose of the UN. But if we had a genuine UN, there'd be a lot more countries in the world, and their borders would be peacefully negotiated, because there'd be a vision of perpetual peace, which is, and I'll send you some stuff. Look, You're a busy guy. I'm homeschooling my children, so I've got to get back on it here.
Beautiful homeschooling. I like that. I've put you a link in the chat.
Project, so
if you click on that, that's my Discord server, just to share information. I had to go back on there because it was the easiest way to share information. But if you go on there, and then you can friends request and send it directly to me, and I will have a gander of it and educate myself. Well, by yourself. But thank you for calling in. You've learned. Well, you've taught us a lot.
I didn't do any of that, Rick. No worries. Yeah, and God bless you, my brother. Have a beautiful day.
And you. Thank you very much. What a guy. That was an interesting caller, definitely. 732. We've been hovering between 720 and 760, 70. So that's better than normal, which I find frankly amazing. We've got another caller now. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Is that Simon?
It is indeed.
Am I talking live?
You are.
I'm watching you on the show.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is you're going to watch me about 5 minutes behind what you're doing now. So you might want to mute it, otherwise it'll confuse the shit out of you.
Good to talk to you. Yeah, I'll turn that off a little bit, because otherwise I'm listening to you twice.
Yeah, and it baffles the crap out of me when I hear myself back. I'm like, struggling.
I just heard the last interesting chap you were talking to.
Very interesting.
Totally agree, and I know you did. I'm calling from Windsor in England.
Very nice castle, but the rest of it. So somebody was saying,
I don't like any of it, because I'm not a royalist.
Right. But you don't have to be a royalist to enjoy the architecture of that building, do you? Exactly, I'm not a royalist anymore.
Well, I'm a builder. So I really know about architecture in that sense. A self-employed builder. But yes, interesting show, obviously. And I watched you yesterday a little bit, getting out of London and all the rest of it.
Stress.
Yeah. I'll just say, I went to that South. It must have been back in the 1990s, and I stood there for a bit. I always dress smart, by the way. I'm a secondary modern schoolboy. Rough old school, right? Rough old school.
I remember that, mate. I went to one just before it fell down.
Yeah. But it doesn't reflect, if you like, study school on the way I live my life. My dad was a builder. He died from the jab recently. But that's a controversial subject. But we were a family business for years and whatever. And what is my point? Yes. So when I went there, I stood there for a little bit. The whole thing, just stand there and show your being there.
Mm-hmm.
Always dressed up smart. I was when I would go to London, and then I left because it gets cold and boring in that sense, and headed off back down to the Strand, and I went into the Coal Hole, which is a pub near the Savoy Hotel, good old pub, and I was in there, and I drank at about 6 o'clock, or maybe even earlier, might have been actually 3 o'clock, with an old soldier, one of the oldest soldiers.
Yep.
The last remaining of the Second World War. Must have been about 80, maybe 81. full of beans, little guy, all right, old Tommy, had more medals than anyone else there. And we ended up drinking together, he and I, for hours until about 10 o'clock at night in the pub.
And how did you get home?
Buying pints backwards and forwards. Oh, I just get trained back at some point or whatever. Yeah. And I'm a good drinker. And he was, you know, an old soldier. And of course, that's all those days. He'll be long gone now.
Right.
And most of them are. I drank with a lot of good old ex-pilots and soldiers and whatever, even my old granddad. But who was 8th Army on my dad's side, tank driver. But you know, when the life goes on, as the age goes, I'm 56. You know, these years are gone. You'll never see these people again. They're all dead and gone, unfortunately. And but I've managed to. I tell you what, it's always good to dress smart when you're in London. And that this chap, he drank with me in the bar, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to drink with you." And we didn't go too much onto it. We raised a glass now and again, raised a glass to his buddies that died. And he wasn't there for very long, just like me at the cenotaph, straight into the pub. Because these old boys, they were young once, they want to have a drink.
Yeah, they don't want to stand up for hours on end.
About life.
I think a lot of what these people, they go to pay their respect, but they want to see each other as well. I mean, don't forget a lot of these veterans, especially from past conflicts, are diminishing. They're going to meet their maker, and they're getting less and less.
Like I said, they're all gone. Those ones I talked to, they have to be.
There's nobody from the First World War still about, and I don't think there's very many from the Second World War still around. So
no, this is it. I spoke with over my life. It's funny enough, and like I said, I'm a builder. I literally lay bricks and put roofs on. I'm a hands-on, builder. Mm-hmm. But I dress up, and that's my weekends. I dress up. There's a lot of people who in the city they dress down. I dress up on weekend, or used to. Don't do it much anymore.
Anyway, beyond China, I'm going to have to get on to the next one because there's a lot of it I want to get through.
I'll just say that I spoke with so many decent ex-US pilots and all the rest of it, and the main thing is they go there for that, but they want to have a drink and have a good chat with somebody who is almost like their old friends from the old days. But I'll leave you with that. Yep.
Lovely job. All right, well, you take it steady, and I'll speak to you soon. All right. See you in a bit. Bye. No worries. Right, I'm just going to look through your comments, actually. Yes, we had to go back onto Discord, whether he liked it or not, because people can share news, but you're not allowed to comment on anything medical on there, right? So if you did, you get booted. That's how we lost the last Discord, because people were posting stuff about what they believed about medical stuff, and we got done for medical misinformation. So anybody even posting that just gets binned. It's that simple. I have to do that, otherwise I can't keep it, which means I can't speak to you lot. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm all right. Who's this?
This is Richard. I called you on your last stream. I was the first caller. We had a lot of technical issues.
Standard for me, mate. That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. What was it you want to talk about, buddy? I'm going to try and get through the callers a bit quickly now because I've got quite a few on.
Yeah. You got a backlog. Yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, as you know, I live in Wimbledon. And so what did you think of London? How would you say your overall experience was during the...
Love the architecture, but it doesn't look like an English country, right?
Yeah, I know.
Everywhere I went, it was a foreign fucking language being spoken. There were people dressed up like the Middle East or out of Africa, and I'm like, what the fuck's this shit about?
No. I know. It's just the odd contrast, isn't it? You see women wearing burqas and amongst all this European architecture.
It isn't welcome. You come over here, you dress in our clothes, otherwise fuck off. Simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't got any time for it anymore because at the end of the day, they're trying to replace our culture. No, you either get involved in our culture or fuck off back to wherever it was you preferred the culture. I'm not playing anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I know, mate. It's an absolute fucking joke. Yeah. So just one thing I want to get your opinion on, right? So next year, general election, Labour are going to get in power. What do you predict is going to happen when Labour take control?
An acceleration of the problems we have now.
Yeah. So you think that it's going to be more of the same, but just accelerated? They're just going to go
They just accelerate what conservatives are doing. Conservatives will take a lot longer to do it because they don't want to look too unconservative, although they are. Whereas Labour hate the country, hate its values, hate its culture, hate its people. All right, just everything about this country they fucking hate. But what they want to do is fill it full of people. They'll know destroy it, and they'll feel happy about it. These are people that despise everything. You can tell. They destroy everything. They don't make anything. They hate everything. And they want to take people's wealth. They want to take their property. They're like that nasty shit at school that just hated every cunt and wanted to fuck everybody over.
Yeah.
Right? They are that. Right. And as the country starts to go in flames, they'll love it even more. And you can almost see the little red eyes that they've got, with little horns on their head as they're fucking doing it. What'll happen?
Yeah.
England has to get so much worse before the average fucking idiot's going to wake up, right? The brainwashed, the YouTube, not the YouTube, the ones that sit down and watch all that fucking stupid celebrity crap, right? Once they realize that everything on their screen is a multicultural fucking shill, once they realize that they can't now buy stuff, they can't go places because the people from outside the country now run the shit, right? Then they might do something. And it's only at a time when things are so fucking bad and Labour have destroyed it and now actually made it so that no other party can get back in because they'll change shit, right? When this happens, that's when wankers like me will stand a chance of coming out and saying, I'll represent you, and people will vote for me.
Yeah, well, like you said, it could actually be a benefit if they get in, because obviously they're going to bring all the bullshit, up front, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, we have to wait until because don't forget, if they can get enough Muslim councillors in, right, and Muslim MPs, once it gets to about 50%, the Muslims will then have a vote amongst themselves, and then we'll have Sharia law. And that's it. We've lost the country. Well, we won't.
I mean, they don't even need to be in the actual majority of the population. They just need to be in the majority of MPs and councillors.
Yeah, which is where they are now. I mean, look how many Muslim MPs we've got. Look how many Muslim Lord Mayors we've got. Look how many Muslims in different positions of power. I mean, when that piece of shit got in London, he won by 120% turnout. How do you get that?
Yeah.
Especially when the Jewish community didn't get a vote and half the Christians didn't get a vote. What the fuck? How do you get 100%? And so it was rigged, and this is all rigged.
Mm.
And when you've got Muslims coming out saying we're taking your country and laughing at you, the others, the dumb fucks need to see it.
Then they're not keeping it a secret, are they?
No, they love it, and they the one thing about evil is it has to tell you it's doing it, otherwise it can't win. You have to accept it. That's part of evil, right? So the devil needs to tell you that he's going to do this, that, and the other, and you, by not opposing it, agree to it. That's the theory. That's how it's supposed to work, right? So when they say we're going to take over your country, and you go, oh, what you should say is, fuck you. You'll have to kill me first, right? That's how it works, right?
Or so, come and get it.
Yeah, do your best, mate. Do your best, because one-on-one, you don't stand a fucking chance. But the problem is, we've soiled the living daylights out of our kids. But don't worry, that can be reversed in about an hour.
I know, but the thing is, right now, because you were talking about the normies, right? The normies and young people, they get their worldview from things like the BBC or the Guardian.
Yep.
They'll think whatever media platforms like that tell them to think. Even if they observe the complete opposite. Well, the Guardian told me so.
Can I interrupt you a second? If you want to have this conversation with other people, join Discord. There it is. These are people like you who need to speak about people, all sorts of stuff. There it is. There's a link. Get on it. Right there you go. Sorry, mate. Let's get back to where we were. The Guardian.
Cheers, will do. I can see it.
The Guardian. Jesus Christ, what is that about? Right. So
I mean. They wrote an article saying gardening is far right. So if you garden, you're far right. Yeah.
What the fuck's that about?
Did you see that?
These fucking Oh my God. Let me guess. I went to the fucking potato beds and all I could hear was marching music. There were swastikas all over the fucking carrots, right? And the broccoli were coming at us saying, ban all foreigners. Fucking racist broccoli. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So gardening's far right, and also keeping healthy is far right.
And the country, and also countryside is far right. Did you hear that? Right, because there's not enough black people in it.
I read that article. I read the Guardian whenever I need a laugh.
Isn't it? I mean, I'm dyslexic, so I don't read anywhere near as much as I should, or I'd read.
I'm dyslexic as well, mate.
There you go. See, Dafter said it. Cabbage lives matter. There you go.
Yeah.
So, but it just fucking shave on. It's just mental. The world that we're in at the moment, right? is go outside, have a look at a tree. Is that tree real? Yeah. Base your reality on that tree, all right? Everything else you see around it, if you see a squirrel playing around, that's real. If somebody tells you, or better still, right, go up to a cow, right? Look at the thing underneath it, load of tits. You can milk that. Go up to the other cow, right, with one thing hanging down, milk that, see how well you get on, right? Now, tell me there's 57 genders with a cow. There's the one with tits that you can milk and the one with a big thing you do not want to milk because you get your head kicked in, right? There's sex education 101, right? Cheers, right? So that's one of your problems. Can I be a woman? Well, were you born a woman? No. Well, there's your answer.
No.
Simple, right? And we could go through all of this stuff. I could re-educate the average kid in about fucking 10 minutes. Or here's another thing, right? You know, when they go, oh, I'm so scared. What about if I get bullied? You know, when somebody punches you in the face, it's only a fucking fear until you get punched. And then you go, well, actually, that wasn't nice. But it wasn't as bad as you think it is, right? I mean, it's like in the army when they toughened them up. You'll have another. And then people can be turned from being complete wankers, complete dribbling mess, into a cohesive fighting force in the military, not something else, right? Just got to clear this up for all these people that think I'm trying to start something here. In the military, if they were given, exactly that. That's why I'm fucking reiterating what I'm saying here. If we had old style military, you take in a load of individuals with all their little free thinking, and what you do is you break that. And then you build them up to think of each other, work together, and they're meant to think the way you teach them to, right? But you're teaching them how to be like men. And you also teach them how to wash, clean, cook, iron, polish, shoes. And then you teach them about frustration and how not to let it get the better of you. So you've just cleaned your shoes and the sergeant major walks all over them. Now clean them again, right? And you have to learn not to throw a wobbler because and they teach you how to be a man. We could literally turn kids around in about fucking 10 minutes if we had to. And if it all went wrong.
We could do,
And if it all went wrong, okay, kids would turn around real quick because they'd see a couple of their mates like mince up to something that doesn't like them. Friends, and then something bad had happened. They witness it. Then you'd look at them and go, now do you understand? Right. Listen to me. It's very important. Follow what I say, or you're in a lot of shit. Things will change really quickly. But things have to get worse before they'll get better. Oh, incidentally, it's because I talk this stuff is why that I'm shadow banned. Because imagine a system that starts to look to people for a bit of guidance, right? They've tried the papers.
Oh, we can't have that.
Exactly that. They've tried the papers. They've tried the TV. They've tried local whatever. Nothing there is going to fix them. Yeah. And then you've got some lunatic sat in a fucking truck or in a chair saying, sorry, I'm not here to pander to you. This is the realities of it. This is what's going to happen. And this is what we need to do. You can't have somebody like that become popular.
Yeah, I know.
Although, I mean, to be honest, if we'd have gone back 15 years when they didn't have all those algorithms, if we'd have had that problem or this problem then when they didn't have the technology, I wouldn't have to worry about something. We'd be having 2,000 or 3,000 watching this right now. We might even still have 2,000 or 3,000 watching it because when you take people from here and you go to the other platform, you lose 50 here and you gain 400 over there. So you just don't know what to think. How worse can things get? So much worse, you have no fucking conception.
Oh, mate, totally. Because I have a few predictions of my own about when Labour get in. And I'll go through them very quickly.
Right. Remember not to get the channel banned, right? But go on.
No. No, don't worry, Si. I'm more careful than anyone. So basically, when they get in, I think Keir Starmer is going to last because they need him to get elected because he's like the harmless guy who just shuts his mouth.
Well, if everybody can ignore the fact that he actually fucking stuck up for Jimmy Savile and that he's done numerous things. But yeah, he is the most normal looking out of there.
Yeah, people don't know about that, like normies, because the media cover it up. So they have no idea. Right. Okay. So he's going to get in and he's going to be prime minister. I think he'll last about 2 years before there's an uprising in the party. And that's when the left are going to oust him.
But who do you think they'll put in? Who do you reckon's like commie enough? Because he calls himself a socialist, doesn't he?
Maybe Rebecca Long Bailey. I don't know if she's still a member. But I also think that when the left do kind of start their uprising and they oust Keir Starmer, I think they might fast track a Muslim in there.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah, and that's when things are really going to get interesting, if you know what I mean. You know, and also when Labour are in, they're going to allow 16-year-olds to vote.
And they'll all be brainwashed as well.
Yeah, straight from the plantation. They're also going to let every bloody foreigner
and the LGBT and everything else in. So you're going to have all the different variations of box ticking right in there.
Yeah, illegal immigrants, asylum seekers, they're all going to get to vote. So that's what they're going to try and do. Whether they'll succeed or not, I don't know. But
can you imagine having a 16-year-old MP? I mean, I don't know what age you've got to be. They'll probably change that.
Jesus Christ.
But a 16-year-old MP telling you what you've got to be. Well, fuck off, mate. You've got no experience of anything.
Insane.
Hey, somebody said Diane Abbott is the leader. Now that would help us. I'm sorry, it would.
Mate, I'd love that. That'd be bloody hilarious.
Can you imagine Diane Abbott, right, and the American president Joe Biden, right, having a get together? How that would work?
Oh, mate.
So he'd be saying, "So which one of those shoes are yours? Can I eat one?" Right, and she'd be saying, "I've heard I've heard, yeah." And everybody in the background would just be like, "Here's what we'll say." They said, "We'll take down the notes, right? You can go back to eating your fucking slippers, and you can go back to eating everything, right? And fuck off." There you go.
Yeah, it'd be like the Muppets. Yeah.
Do you know the Muppets made more sense, and they also had a message sometimes.
That was a smart show. It's before my time, but it really was.
Sorry, Rev. The Fur had the right idea. Don't let. Where'd he go? Don't let no Brits vote. It's nice, isn't it? But Labour are going to get in, right? And then they're going to pull funding from lots of different things. And then they'll ask for a lot of these statues to be taken down. And then they'll send a fuckload of foreign aid. And then they're going to
open the borders more, mate.
Oh, literally, they build a bridge straight to fucking France so they can walk, right? Then, right, I'm being sarcastic, but they would literally probably lay on a ferry service, right? Then what else would they do? Lots of really more funding for stupid things in college to make people even more fucked than they already were. They go after the right. They do a headhunt, and literally these super prisons, they would witch hunt everybody who stands against them and fit them up. We'd be fucked.
Yeah. Which is the reason why people like you and me need to be careful, like YouTubers like you, like Paz. You need to obviously be careful how you frame things.
I'm done, mate. When it comes to the time, I'll be taken away anyway. But I expect that now. So you live for today and do what you can.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that I've said in the past and the things that I still say now, and I mean things like Islam. I mean, if Islam took over, I'd have a nice public execution, I should imagine. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's what they'd like anyway.
Yeah. Well,
and by the way, I'm gonna leave in a moment, but I just want to end on one final point, right? Yep. Honestly, whenever somebody on the left says to me that diversity is a strength, we need all these different cultures, we need mass immigration to make us better.
No.
You hear that talking point a lot, don't you? You hear it on the TV, you hear it if you're talking with somebody. But the thing is, it's obviously nonsense because they always also end up saying, "Oh, we deserve it," as revenge for colonialism.
That's more like it. They hate their history. They hate their whiteness. Yeah. White guilt.
Yeah, I know. So the thing is, how can you say it's a strength, it's wonderful one minute, and then go on to say, "Oh, we deserve it. It's a punishment."
Because
how can it be good if it's a punishment? So notice how the kind of narratives kind of change.
Because they mean the second one, not the first. They want to fucking wreck Britain. I'd love to colonize half the world again. I would. Fuck it. I liked it when we had a massive empire and we were running the shit. And I tell you what, those countries were all better off.
For other countries as well.
Exactly that. These countries were much better off under our rule, and the lefties fucking hate it.
I bet some countries in Africa, they beg to be colonized by us
fucking right. What, we get law and order back now? We can actually go and fucking work in a company that won't fail because of the tribal people come around and do whatever. We haven't got militia all over the place fucking taking money or hacking us up or whatever. Fucking brilliant. Send the army in, get law and order back in the place, build it back up, make it a thriving place, kick the other globalists out that have made sure their demands are to keep Africa poor so that the globalists can profit. Because if you actually paid Africa the right money for their stuff that we take out of there, then the globalists couldn't make the amount of top end that they make at the moment. So it's just pure greed. So, part of me is not about fucking them over, but it is. So no worries.
Sick.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, buddy.
Anyway,
well, Go on.
Before I go, just one more short thing, then I will go. Right. Is there anywhere where I can send you videos? Because I remember you used to do videos where you'd kind of analyze a video, you'd play it and kind of talk over it, right?
But if you send the link in Discord, right, then I can have a look at it and go from there.
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying I know quite a few left-wing YouTube channels. They spout utter nonsense, and it'd be quite good to see you
destroy it.
Dissect them. Yeah. But anyway, I'll look into Discord and I'll get those over to you.
No worries, mate.
Just a bit of content ideas. Anyway, I'll let you go now, Si. Goodbye, everyone in the chat. Look after yourselves.
Okay, mate. You take it steady, and I'll speak to you on the next one. All right?
Yeah, we'll do. See you, Si.
Did a bit. Bye. Now I've got a problem. My gob is dry from talking so much, and I need something to drink. Now it's going to take too long to make a coffee at this rate, but I don't really want a can of something. But that's going to be the quickest opportunity, unless I can have somebody take a call. Who can we get in for this? Right, let's just go through this a minute, see if we get any more calls. Otherwise, I could have a commercial break, couldn't I? I could do that. Who here needs to get themselves a drink? Well, there we go, not alcoholic. Right. Who needs to get a drink? Is anybody in need of a coffee or a tea right now? Because we could have a 2-second break while I go make a coffee, and you could do the same. What do you reckon? Anybody agree with this? Let me know what you think in the comments. Right, we got a caller. Hello.
Hello, Simon. It's Jupiter.
How you doing, love? Long time no speak. How's your channel doing?
Not as good as yours.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't agree with that. I was going backwards with subs for a while. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, what was it you wanted to talk about, love?
No, I just wanted to say that I watched the Armistice Day and that, and I'm glad that people went up there. I know that other people think that there shouldn't have been anybody that went up there, and we should have maybe just let the Palestinians do what they were going to do and prove just how bad they are. But actually, I think that we did need a little bit of a pushback, and I'm glad that some people did go.
Yeah, it's like, so you want to let the Palestinians go down there and maybe run some old boys around and push them over and set fire to the poppies just to prove a point. Fuck that. That's capitulation. I don't play that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, people have said, when I say that, people have said to me, oh, well, why didn't you go down there now? Well, I'm 55. Come on. I'd have been more of a hindrance than a help, let's be honest. Some people are better at talking, others are better at doing the action. And, the ones that went down there, big up to them for standing their ground. Now, I know that some people have said that it was yobbish, that the ones that were down there that did actually get involved in scuffles. But let's be honest, if those ones weren't there, the people that broke off from the Palestinian march would have gone straight for the ones that were standing resilient and being respectful. They would have gone straight for them. There would have been no protection for them.
You needed hard fuckers down there.
Yeah, you did. And the police stood back. They had orders to stand back.
Yeah.
Not to take sides.
I haven't seen any of the TV. Have you seen any of the news reporting on this? Because I believe that GB have done a hit piece, haven't they?
No, I've not seen that. I've only seen, from the ground, loads and loads of footage from the ground. But I saw a piece of footage. I can't remember whose channel it was on now. It might have been Buskers or someone's, but I can't remember. I've seen so many, I get more confused now. I'd have to go back through it. But I see a piece of footage where there was a man asking the police, what's going on? Why are you not stepping in? Someone's just been smashed over the head with a bottle. And they said, we haven't got enough police. These men were in full riot gear. They could have took control of that. If the Palestinians were being peaceful, they would have marched on past. They wouldn't have broke off to try and walk up to the people that were standing by the cenotaph at all. This is ridiculous, because someone said to me, well, the police have been told to be impartial, not get involved and not take sides.
They're political.
Right? But they've become political. Yeah. The very fact that they've been told that is political, because a police officer's job is to discriminate. It's to work out who is the perpetrator and who is the victim. Okay? And you're not supposed to take what they stand, what they're wearing, what group they're with when the incident happens. You look at the crime and the crime alone. If you are not going to do that, and you're being told oh, well, there's two groups, and if you arrest this perpetrator, it's going to look like you took that one side. You're not doing your job.
But when Tommy used to go out and do the protests, right? Thank you very much, Sammy. When Tommy used to do that, right, they would come out in full riot gear. When BLM came out, right, they went out in short sleeve shirts because it was the middle of summer, wasn't it, right? And they were dressed accordingly to that. When Palestine lot come out, there's something in between. So they've got a different approach and a measured approach already to each different type. So they see us as the worst threat. They go out there with their helmets attached to them and they're in riot gear ready to go. And yet BLM, where there was more violence there, they sent them out in short sleeve shirts, and it's like, why? That's like sacrificing your own people. It's not common sense. But we've got political policing, and we've had it for years. So
yes, well, I would go further. I would say we've now got the Gestapo, and they're against the people, the majority of people in this country.
Yeah,
it's just in, and it's been so clever the way that it's come about because it's in sheep's clothing, isn't it?
When they stopped policing in the way they did, do you remember in the old days, if you had a burglar, you'd ring up and you'd say, I've been burgled. And some fucker would come out and have a look around the gaff. I also give you a crime number and say, we'll do what we can. Now you just ring up and you might get somebody, but generally speaking, you might not. If your car gets nicked, forget it. It's a totally different way of policing, but they've got police camera vans everywhere making good bucks. They've got ULEZ vans everywhere. And I don't know, that's not part of policing, but it is, and it's not. But with regards to the police, they won't come out to a lot of things. But yet they'll pile around your house if you've said something nasty online. It's like, that's not a threat, So we're in a totally different world than we used to be. In the old days, you'd see coppers on the beat, and they'd usually be tall fuckers, fairly well built, and you could ask directions and get a clip around here. We had one, Peter, what's his name? We had PC Ingram that nicked me a few times, and we had the other one, and he was a rugby player, and he was the one that dragged you back to your house when you've been too up on a bike on the pavement with no lights, kind of thing, and grassed you up to your parents. But he was a good copper, and he was doing his job, so we liked him. PC Francis, it was fucking big lad. And he ended up being a pallbearer in the end at my granddad's funeral, but nice bloke. And he didn't look at you bad, even when you'd done something, just deal with you as you need to be dealt with. And the next time he saw you, all right there, Simon. All right, sir.
Yeah, but you're talking back in the days when they knew the community. They don't know the community anymore.
80s and 90s.
When they're branding just ordinary people, extreme right, it's disgusting. You know,
I mean, where do you see yourself politically?
We all know the true extreme right do not like Jews. Let's be honest about it. So no true extreme right is going to go and stand and fight on behalf of the Jews. So when they say that anybody that went to that was extreme right, it's an absolute liberty. If in fact they're correct, but they're correct in the wrong way, because extreme Islamism is extreme right.
Yeah.
So they're correct. There was extreme right there. They were
but on the side of the Muslims,
right?
The Muslims are so traditional and so extreme in the way they control their people, and it is right wing. So I think, do you know what? It's funny because there's people on the left that actually, the women that kind of like Islam, and I'm not sure, but they might like the old traditional way that the men are within it, but we're not allowed to be because fucking reasons or whatever. But it's a fucked up situation. But all I know is that because of my age, my skin color, and my beliefs, that there's a shitload out there just fucking hate me, and I don't mind. Fuck them, hate them back. Actually, I shouldn't say that because it's not good to hate, but whatever. So other than that, how do you think it's going to go then? This is the beginning, isn't it?
This is only the beginning, and on the one hand, I'm glad that the remembrance that the things have passed nicely and everything else. I think it would have woke some people up, but not quite enough yet. That moment still hasn't come in my head. It still hasn't come. I think we've got that pinnacle moment to come still, but it's getting there. And I wish people would understand the fullness of what's really, really going on. There's a takeover of our culture, and my fear is that we will end up with Sharia law. We will end up with it because we're already getting it.
We've got it in places already, haven't we? I mean, you've got people in Birmingham that were born in Birmingham, right? They can't speak a word of English and live by Sharia. I mean, that's fucked up, isn't it? I mean, they're 40 odd years old. They've never spoke a word of English because they've lived within their community and never gone anywhere. These are women that wear the letterbox, you know, they're subjugated by their husbands. They live a miserable fucking life. And that's in Great Britain now. I mean, I don't know where else. I just know Birmingham has that. I should imagine you probably got it Leeds, Bolton, and wherever else. And we'll get more and more of their political leaders because they will make sure they vote in their person to get their thing done. And so the other thing is the Liberals want to vote for somebody who's an Indian or a black person just to make sure they don't feel racist. So
so see, when people start voting as per somebody's colour and not what they stand for, I mean, I quite like Suella at the moment, but she only says the right things. I mean, she hasn't got no real political power.
Well, she does fuck all's another thing, isn't it? But she likes to wind up the others.
But her words, her views, I do agree with what she says most of the time.
Do you think any of her political beliefs are because she's married to a Jewish person?
Oh, I didn't even know that. I don't know.
You see, a little bit of lessons. But I mean, this is why the whole idea of us doing live streams is to give little bits out there and let people know. But I didn't know until just recently. And I was like, I wonder if that has any leaning on her bearing, like which way what she says and stuff. Because if she's obviously now, her other half is unhappy, probably because Israel and all the rest of it. When they're at home talking, does he give her the full rundown of Israel's perspective on stuff and what's happened over time and the attacks that the Israelis have suffered at the hands of, the opposition? And is she then going to feel more compelled to come out and stand by her other half's faith, that lot, because that's where allegiances lie? But they're not supposed to.
Maybe, but...
I mean, you look at that woman that was in charge. What's her name? The one that the most riskiest thing she ever did was running in fields of corn. I can't remember what her fucking name is. Was our prime minister at one point. Well, she wanted a war at the time.
Yeah.
She wanted a war at the time over with Assad, right? And what was going to happen was we were going to end up rocketing the fuck out of the place. But it was her husband who owned shares in the company that were going to replace these rockets after we'd used the ones up at the time. Now, that's a conflict of interest in finances and stuff like that. But people don't know these things, but a lot of our people within power are lobbied, or they've got their allegiances in one place or another because of all sorts of reasons: financial interest, shares in a company. Some of them are corrupt, some of them have been bribed, some of them are. You think there's probably a lot of people in politics at the moment where people have got up to them and said, "Listen, we've got these pictures of you, and if you don't want these pictures to come out, you'll do the right thing." You know what I mean? I think that happens.
Oh, there's definitely loads of that going on, Simon. Definitely loads of that going on. But the one thing that I will say is that hold on one sec, I've got to open the door. Someone's knocking. The one thing that I will say is that really it's good to know all these little connections in the background and stuff, because in the case of Teresa's situation where you're saying her husband was able to do all this.
Well, he was connected to the armaments firm that was going to basically supply it, which was worth millions.
You can evaluate and you could say, well, yeah, that's quite bad because it's a negative thing. But when it's down to something that's in your favour, you can also say, well, I don't really care about that, and that might sound hypocritical, but that's the truth of evaluating.
But that's a nationalist. A nationalist will go, well, look, if it's in the country's best interest, fuck it, whatever. But that's also common sense, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, is this person doing something against the interests of this country? Yes. Do they have a financial reason to do that? Yes. That's bad. Is this person doing something within the interest of this country? Yes. Are they going to make money out of it? Yes. I don't care because they're doing my country good. That's the nationalist approach.
And that's the way I look at it. So even if Suella's husband is an influence on her, whilst there is one area that I wouldn't agree on, and that is we don't really want to take on Israel's fight. That's my opinion. I'm more about Britain and what's happening on our streets because of what's going on over there. I can be sympathetic and say, well, look, I believe, because people say Well, because I believe Israel should have a state, that means I'm Zionist, which it doesn't mean at all, because I don't agree with extremism on any ground. But I do believe they've got a right to live there. I also believe that Palestinians have got a right to have part of the land. But their argument over who gets what is not my fucking argument. Stop bringing it to my streets. Stop making British Jews fear for their lives. And let's be honest about it, it's not going to stop with British Jews, is it? It's going to be anybody that's not Islamic. And that's the elephant that people are
when we invited them in
about.
Have you heard about the Barcelona Declaration, the Marrakesh, right? These things back years ago ensured that they were going to open the doors. I mean, there's lots of reasons to say the reasons why. I mean, they'll say multiculturalism is our strength. No, what they'll say is cheap labor is better for fucking globalism, right? Also, if you wanted to destroy a society, what better way to do it than bring in another society that doesn't believe in its values? Now, there's reasons why it's going to be destroyed. I've already been through all of that. But yeah, I mean, the Trojan horse is Islam marching through the West. And you remember years ago that Islam used to have a massive area that it ran. I can't remember the fucking name of it. It'll come to me in a minute. And the First World War wiped that out and wiped out their control. Now they want to build one back again. But instead of going to war with all these countries, they're just bringing people in slowly, and they're going to outbreed them. And they'll get to a level where they'll have a show of force, and most average person won't want any of it. They won't want to mix it. So they'll probably end up being voted into power and take over that way, and there won't be a shot fired. Ottoman Empire, cheers. That's what it was. Yeah, that's
exactly what they're doing. And that's why policies and procedures are being changed, that they make out that they do it for the good of us, but they're not doing it for the good of us. At the end of the day, it's ridiculous what's going on. People that have got their eyes open can see what's going on, and it's sad that they can't speak about it. It's sad that every time.
When was the last time our government did anything in our interest that didn't financially reward the people that were putting these things in place? Because I can't remember.
I wouldn't be. A long time ago.
Yeah, fuck if I can remember. Yeah. I mean, no, I can't seriously think of a single time where the government have, right, great conversation, keep it going and nudge that window. Thank you very much. Is that the Overton window we're talking about here? I just had to check. But yeah, so there it is. Well, look, cheers for calling in, lovely. I don't know, I need a fucking coffee and it's going to take too long to make one here. Jesus. You've got people that can take over on your channel, haven't you? So you can go out and make a coffee.
I've got people that come and chat when I talk, but I'm not going to be the live panels with lots of people is going to be over by the end of this year, and from going forward in the new year, it is just going to be me, my thoughts, and a lot of different stuff. But that's just a change up to see how it goes.
Because, are you finding them a bit of a nightmare? Are they all arguing or something?
It's not so much the arguing. I like the differing views, but the problem is that you end up with too many trolls trying to get access, this, that, and the other. So I want to try and step it up, become a bit more professional, just give out the link.
I've got a great idea. Jupiter, you talk for 2 seconds, right? Tell them about your channel. I'm going to put the kettle on. Don't go anywhere, all right? So sell your channel.
Thank you very much. Okay, people. So, I have got 3 channels. Most people do know that, actually. Jupiter Affiliated 22, and Dupe's Ascension. My main channel is Jupiter Affiliated, but at the moment I am working on Jupiter Affiliated 22 because I want to get the subs up on that one. I do travel a bit around on other people's channels. I listen to everybody from the extreme left to the extreme right. Not everybody agrees with me because I'm a bit more nuanced than a lot of other people. So, but I think that gives variety,
Indeed. Right, I've just put the kettle on. I have to go back in a bit and make the coffee, but kettle on, couple of lights on, draw the curtains. So put a link to your channel in there so people go and have a look. If you've got a link, put it in the comments. So because there are people.
I'm on my phone at the moment, so I won't drop. But they'll find me. They'll find me definitely because, I'm all over the place, aren't I? So people do know me, even if I'm not. They don't sub to me.
You're going to talk about different topics in the new year, like go down the sort of similar stuff to, say, for instance, what I do, where I'll just put the video on, I'll talk about what I think, and then end it.
Yes, and a lot shorter as well. Yeah, but to get to your stage, Simon, will take a long time, won't it?
Not necessarily.
Do you know what I mean?
If they don't block you in that, you'll probably get some traction.
Yeah.
Anyway, my love, I will let you get on, and I'm going to get on to the next caller, see what they've got to say, and call in again. All right.
I will do. Thank you for having me.
No worries,
Take
love.
care.
Catch you in a
Thank
bit.
you, people. Bye-bye.
So that's Jupiter. Jupiter's got a YouTube channel, and I think Molly might have even just put it in the comments. I'm not sure. Or if she hasn't, I think she might have put it in 1 minute. Right, yeah, she's put it over here. So I shall show. Oh, hang on a minute. There you go. Hello.
Make yourself a coffee.
Right, yeah, you talk. I will make coffee. You remember that thing we were talking about?
I'm going to talk about the Ben Gurion Canal.
That's exactly that. You crack on. I'll speak to you in a minute.
Right. So Simon, a couple of days ago, did a piece on the Ben Gurion Canal, and I believe it's the catalyst of what's going on in the Middle East. He covered quite a few bits that we were talking about, but if they open up that, and with what's going on in Gaza, I mean, let's put it this way: if they decide to flood these underground tunnels, how would they do that? I mean, bearing in mind that they're just off the Mediterranean, and then once they're flooded, they won, type of thing. But then they can move on to making the canal that they wanted to make in the first place, and making the Suez redundant. Now, I had a look into it and a bit of a deep dive, but it was just, you don't see it in the news. Nobody's mentioning it, but it's actually a thing. So it's like, well, why do we not see it? Why is nobody mentioning this thing? Because this is quite a big issue when it comes to what we're seeing in the Middle East. I mean, David Ben Gurion was the first ever Prime Minister of Israel and opened up the whole part of Israel for the Israelis. But now what we're seeing with the Gazans is they're getting bombed back into. I mean, if you've got an enemy, you go after them. You don't go after the people that are living on top of them.
We're back. Thanks very much for that, China. How far down the rabbit hole are you gone?
I'm just a miserable old bastard again.
Standard. Lovely, Joe. Well, I've had a pit stop and made myself a coffee, and much better, because if I'd have got any alcohol, it's not a good idea, especially with work tomorrow. So, yeah.
No, I must admit, I'm making beef stew at the moment.
Very nice indeed. Right. So, what else is going on in the news? Saved by Simon. All right, mate. Look, you're going to be on Discord in a bit?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'll be on Discord.
Because after this, we're all going to go to Discord. In the old way, but this time I'll be fucking sober, so I can take questions. Which would be nice. All right, lovely. Well, look, you crack on. Thank you ever so much for jumping in and saving me bacon again. Yes, and we'll get another caller on, and we'll meet you back over and chat in a bit. All right?
Yeah.
Lovely.
See you later, guys.
See you in a bit, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate. Right, he's lovely. He's the Grim Reaper. Well, basically, his name on there is not having it, but I changed him to Little Ray of Sunshine. But he does have some interesting stuff, and he the Suez canal explains a lot. Yeah, the canal does, basically, because if they actually went ahead with it, and it's a massive, massive, massive undertaking, right, to make this canal. If it did, as I said before, it would benefit all of us. However, it just gives them a lot more power on it, and it takes. If you took half the trade away from the Suez Canal, which is worth about $8 billion a year in profit. I don't know how they charge the ships that go through, but they do. If they took away half of that away, I should imagine that Egypt isn't going to be too chuffed about it, and the Arabs aren't going to be too chuffed. And who's taking it away? It's the people that don't like very much. Are you buying Simon? Am I for sale? No. So anyway, it is what it is. But it would obviously, if there's competition for something, then obviously they reduce prices to gain trade. And if the price is reduced on the cost of shipping, then obviously that you would imagine is passed on to the consumer, and that's us. So the Israelis got planned for a new canal. Well, they've had plans about this canal since the 60s. Okay, so this isn't a new thing, but the ability to do it may be closer now than it was then. Also, the will to do it. Is this war got anything to do with it? That is a good question. No site isn't a gigolo. Very much not. This part of me is retired and has been for some time. Anyway, what do we got? Comments. 1789, like the French. Yeah, well, it wasn't the French that built the sewers. I'm right. No side. Oh, I read that part. Yeah, explains why the US were there so soon. Also, they could bring the oil through there as well. And what they're trying to say is that in the past, they've been stopped from using the Suez Canal. Now, apparently, there's a pact in place to say that they can't stop them from using the Suez, all right? But I'm wondering what their argument is now, but they're still trying to make an argument for why they shouldn't, whatever. Cheers, Nathan. Nathan is commenting. Nathan is chat £5. Thank you very much, Nathan. Hopefully this stream has managed to recuperate quite a bit of what I actually spent out yesterday, which is a bonus, and you get that back at the end of the month with YouTube, which is nice. Although they do take a proportion of what you donate, because obviously they're not making enough money at the moment. However, so another thing that you may not know, I found out yesterday when we're going on about London and its memorials, is there's a lot more than just the cenotaph. I didn't realize. My ignorance is quite strong. I was walking around and you'd see another statue on top of some column, and it would be dedicated to an admiral or some part of like people that served in the First or the Second World War and other conflicts, and they're everywhere. So it isn't just, say, for instance, one particular one that you'd have to look after, although there are ones that are obviously more likely to be attacked for their significance and where they are placed. I mean, obviously, the cenotaph just being a few meters away from Downing Street obviously stands out. Yeah, there it is. What I don't know what you think. I mean, Admiral Gandhi, Field Marshal Gandhi, isn't it? Yeah, of course. But yeah, there's a lot of statues around, and I expect there's quite a few around Bristol, although they're probably looking to get them down because Bristol is probably the most left-wing place you'll ever come across. And I just happen to live near it, which makes dating quite a nightmare. You look on the dating site and it's just like, won't date a Tory, full left wing, all the rest of it. Fake Benson in chat. Is there? AMG Rider. Is there a fake one in chat? My God. Simone. What's this one then? Thank you very much. A different video with opinions. Is that like I've got difference of opinions or something? I'd be interested in just go further with that one. Gandhi wasn't he bloke from Grimsby. What are you on about? I thought Gandhi came from Grimsby. He used to have a job on a fucking trawler back before they ruined the fishing fleet. That's what I thought. General Mandela. We could have some fun with this, couldn't we? Minus talk from the other callers, but mention you know what, and off I could have spoken about my interesting life and the situation of the world. Obviously, death from war different. Phone lines are open. Paul Spaghetti Legs. I can ride a horse. £1.50. Okay, interesting. ANG, stop cursing me, trouble. So at this point, I could wrap it up and then we could go over to Discord and chat. Owen Jones, welcome. Or somebody else could call in. We'll see. Yeah, typical. Now I've got to make a coffee. 2 seconds. Let me have a sip. How long have we been on for now? 2 hours and 17 minutes. And we've held some good numbers, which is pretty amazing, really. Admirable Nutu, don't know who that is in the Seven Dwarfs. MTV Live or MT Live at 4. Is that Maya Tuzi live at 4, is it? Maybe they're going over there. Peace and blessings, everyone. Okay, so that's asking somebody to come on Discord. Cabin Boy, Owen Jones, Roger the Cabin Boy, Master Bates, Seaman Stains. What was the other one? Pugwash, wasn't it? There you go. Anyway, right, okay. Well, if we're not going to get any more calls, I can wrap this up, can't I? I think we talked a bit about everything, really. It wasn't just about the war memorials, but there was I think it was an American that couldn't understand our morbid love of the dead, was the way they were trying to put it. Whereas over there, he didn't think there was any great point in remembering the people that died from a war, because who cares? They're nothing to do with him. And he couldn't get over why it was that we made such a big deal about our war dead. Well, there's a few reasons. The rich put it in place back in the day because they wouldn't bring back the dead for 2 reasons. They didn't want the cost of repatriating all these people that have been put through the meat grinder, and not all of them could be either, because their bodies have just gone vaporized and missing. They also didn't want the risk of bringing them back and people seeing all of these bodies coming back and then there being a revolution because they wanted the war to stop. That being the worst case scenario. So they decided to bury them where they fell and then have lots of war graves over there, and they would have big war graves or big memorials in all the different towns and cities. And bearing in mind that the towns had to commission their own and pay for their own. It wasn't paid for by the government. It was everybody else around that funded this, which is why they're not all standard. And if you've noticed, if you go to the one in Weston, it'll look completely different to, say, for instance, the one in another town. So there it was. So they pay for their own. And obviously they put people, they said, right, we want you to design us a memorial. And people obviously designed, and then the best, or the one that they particularly chose, then got put and made. So we could then, for the poor people who never had a chance of traveling abroad because they simply did not have the money, don't forget many people who were basically on almost like poverty went and fought for their country. Well, their families would never be able to get out to, say, for instance, France or wherever it was, to go and find this war grave and then go and pay their respects. And if they could, they'd only be able to do it once. So the theory was that you would go to this place in the center of town and lay flowers there, and that by some way would be connected to your dead wherever they fell. So this is why we had it. But also, we lost a generation, and this healthy, fit generation, doesn't matter whether it was lower class, poverty, middle class, upper class, and we lost a lot. We lost some of our best people. And for what? Now, the politics of war is one thing, but they died. And everybody within the UK has family members that died. The world wars took out so many people that somebody was saying, I think it was about one in 3 or something ridiculous like that, knew somebody or had a family member that had been killed or injured. So many people got put through the Second World War meat grinder and died. It was horrendous. But anyway, this is why we have this particular interest and fascination. And we try to think what it would have been for our family member, what he was going through, how he suffered. Now, put aside the guy's death, the travel to, the training before, the constant dealing with trench foot, lice that you never get rid of, the worries about frostbite, the worries about shell shock, the worries about, are you actually going to get fed? What's your rations going to get like? Are the letters from your loved ones going to come through, or are they not? All of these things. And then just the constant stress that person was under, and then not really being able to talk about it. Am I going to make it through? Am I not? And then when they came back, half of the jobs that they were going to come back to had gone, or they fought for this great new belief that they believed in, that they were going to make Great Britain a better place. And when they came back, they had no work, and they were back to square one. What did they do it all for? Now, the Great War was called the Great War because there wasn't supposed to be any war after that. That was the war to end all wars, which is why we had it on Armistice Day. However, After the Second World War, that's why we then had Remembrance Sunday. That's why there's two differences. I found that out recently. So it was kind of a bit of a shambles, really. If you fought in the First World War and then the Second World War comes along, and you would be like, we went through all of that, so this would never be. And the worst of it wasn't the little people down here that were fighting with the little people over there. It's always some rich man making sure that the poor people go through the meat grinder and he's safe where he is. And this is the problem with war. But there it is. And that's where we are. Anyway, I will be going over to Discord. I will put the link now there if you want to come and join me, if you want to ask me any questions there personally. But I shall be going over there as soon as I leave here, which will be any minute now. That way also you can all talk amongst yourselves, so I can do do a few things or whatever. And I believe there's a few people in that will probably have a row with each other, so that's quite nice. But the rest of you, thanks for coming in. To everybody who donated, thank you ever so much. It's a massive deal because that was quite an expense, and you've helped me recuperate quite a lot of that. So thank you very much again. And to all the other people that weren't there and covered it yesterday, well done. And it just makes me wonder, next time, I'm going to have to take a different approach. And I've also, and if any of you know, of a way that I can improve my signal strength on my phone so that when I live stream, I don't lose signal. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Get a hold of me in Discord. Send me a link to anything that you think would work, because I don't want to make the expense of going all the way up there again and find out that I can't live stream. Anyway, as I said, thank you very much for tuning in. This was a bit like a Sunday sermon, and we'll be live again, if all else goes well, next Saturday night. But in between that, we'll hope to put a couple of videos out, and we'll go from there. I'll see you.